for about a 2-year period, being the only right-handed player on the Detroit Red Wings. And it's on the left. Burrow, sideline, Chase, spin. There he goes. Jamar Chase. That's it. Touchdown, Bengals. And the Oilers Nation YouTube channel. It's 7. We're under a minute. Carter on Lillard. Lillard, step back 3. Got it. Tied.
Well, a tremendous Tuesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. At Alberta's only regulated online gambling website, where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta at PlayAlberta.ca. And, of course, the Oilers in Boston, where, man, for decades, the Oilers could not win in Boston. Like, when the Oilers were winning cups, they stunk in Boston. But in the McDavid-Draisaitl era, the Oilers are 7-1 in Beantown. They'll look to make that 8-1 tonight, as this is game 2 of a 4-game road trip. Started with a win in Seattle. They'll be in Pittsburgh to take on Sidney Crosby on Thursday. Then Bedard and Hall on Saturday in Chicago. Home next Monday for 1 game against the Kings. Then back out on the road, Colorado and Vancouver. The Oilers entering tonight's play, they've played the second fewest road games in the National Hockey League. So obviously that'll change by the end of next week. They'll be near the top with 6 of their next 7 games on the road. You'll see Stuart Skinner tonight. You'll also see Josh Brown. Boston's got a pretty big, heavy team. And so Josh Brown will come in the lineup tonight for Troy Stetcher. I think you'll see Nurse play probably a little bit with Brown and maybe a lot with Brett Kulak. We'll see how that goes. You'll have Henrique, Hyman, and Jeff Skinner as a line tonight. Arvidsson, Draisaitl, Podkolzin. McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Connor Brown. And then you'll have Corey Perry back in the lineup. He'll play with Kapanen and Matthias Janmark. Of course, Bouchard and Ekholm, the other D pair, Emberson and Kulak. The Bruins, interesting to watch that Wotherspoon is in their top pair tonight with Charlie McAvoy. Now, Wotherspoon's, he's only played 20 games. He was banged up. He's played mainly with Carlo. He's played a little bit in the second or third pair at times with Andrew Peeke. But tonight, he'll be with Charlie McAvoy. And that means they'll probably see a lot of McDavid. So we'll see if the McDavid line can take advantage of that. Parker Wotherspoon, not usually a top pair defenseman. Also tonight, you could have some firsts in their careers. Leon Draisaitl, currently riding a 14-game scoring streak. That matches a career high. It's the second time he's done it. He will look to go for 15 tonight. He's got 27 points, 12 goals in those 14 games. He's absolutely on fire, killing it. Also, his goals against 5-on-5 have been excellent. Goals for, excellent. He leads the NHL in goals. He leads the NHL in even strength goals. He's tied for second in 5-on-5 points. He's doing it all right now for the Edmonton Oilers. So, you know what? The Boston Bruins, they come in. How about this? The Bruins are 27th in the NHL in offense. They're trying to win games low scoring. You're the Edmonton Oilers. You score 3 goals tonight, you're going to have a pretty good chance to win. So that's the key. Obviously, Edmonton. How about scoring first? Suddenly, the Oilers, 6 in a row, they've scored the first goal of the game. We'll try to continue that trend tonight as well. So there's lots of arrows pointing up right now for the Edmonton Oilers. You can, as always, get involved. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox. text line. We got a lot of texts coming in already. On the show today, we will have Struddy will join us right off the hop here. He'll be on in about 50 minutes time. Scott McLaughlin will go to Boston in hour number 1, get the Bruins update. TR will be in from 3 to 5 today. We got Mark Spector joining us from Boston. We'll get to 5 questions. We got the pregame show at 4 o'clock. Dave McCarthy will join us at 5 o'clock today. Also, DVD should be by as well at 5:20. It's a busy night in the National Hockey League. Of course, as mentioned, the Oilers are playing in Boston. They're one of the early games, as them and the Hurricanes and Lightning, Senators and Wings will be the early games, and there's a 10-game slate tonight, which ends with Vegas on the road in San Jose. The Flames are in Anaheim. Can the Ducks keep rolling? What about the Blue Jackets? The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are both 500 and both feeling like they maybe have a chance. And speaking of chances, don't look now, but the Montreal Canadiens are currently in a playoff spot today. Now, based on points, if it's on points percentage, they're not. But based on points, they are, because they're tied with Pittsburgh, but they have a game in hand, and they're 1 point up on Ottawa. The Sens do have 2 games in hand. Ottawa is in Detroit tonight for a fairly big game. Columbus, Pittsburgh, fairly big game. All those teams within 3 points of each other for the final wildcard spot. 41 for Montreal, 41 for Pittsburgh, 40 for Ottawa and Columbus, 39 for the Flyers, and 38 for the Detroit Red Wings. Also today, under the category of why did it take an extra day, and like, why would you bring out Antonio Pierce, make him talk to the media, tell him, oh yeah, hey, are you going to be coaching next year? Well, as far as I know. And then today they decide they're going to fire him. Like, everybody knew this was happening. Like, there's a reason why the Raiders organization's a joke, and those small little things emphasize why they're a joke right now. Like, I'm sorry, there's better ways to go. Everybody knew you're firing the coach. Why'd you wait? What's the point? So, Cons, that's 6 openings now. We talked about it yesterday of those 6, which would be the most appealing. The Raiders definitely isn't at the top of the list. They'd probably be closer to the bottom.
Absolutely. I mean, they don't have a whole lot going for them. You have Max Crosby, you have Brock Bowers, and that's probably it. Christian Wilkins, when he's healthy, obviously an okay player, but the cap space would be the best thing you can say, but you need a franchise quarterback, and they're picking 6th now. Winning those games towards the end of the season, like, it was good for maybe the culture, good for at the moment, but you kind of wanted to finish top 1, 2, top 2, 3, maybe 4 to try to get Ward or Sanders if you thought those were the guys. Right now, they're not going to be there. So unless you trade up and give up some assets, you're not going to get your hopeful franchise quarterback. Maybe you take one later on in the first, second round. But yeah, I don't really know, Gregor, if any of these jobs are overall that enticing. Like, I'll say the Bears, because you have Caleb Williams, and there's some upside there, but it's such a tough division. Like, all the opening jobs in the NFL right now have warts, and I don't think there's a great one. If I was a coach, and I talked with Declan just before here on the Lowdown Flow Tide, like, if you're a coach with the Raiders, you need almost assurance that it's not a one and done thing. How are you going to turn things around in 1 year with all the problems they have?
Yeah. Also, interesting, it's very smart move. We talk about organizations that do smart moves. So the Vikings signed Daniel Jones to the active roster today. Puts them in line that they will get a compensatory pick if he leaves in free agency in the offseason. Brilliant. Right? You sign this guy, and I don't even care where the pick is. When you look at extra draft picks, Cons, for nothing to sign Daniel Jones, it's a brilliant move by the Vikings.
Yeah, and this is something that the good teams do in the NFL. I mean, you look at Eric DeCosta with the Baltimore Ravens. That's one of the things he's made his money on, just collecting these compensatory picks. And then when you want to make a trade, you just throw one in, right? Or let's say you have a couple 7s you have there, you want to jump up back into the 5th round, whatever it might be, just to sweeten things. You make those moves. Heads up move by the Minnesota Vikings. And one of the things that I know Joe Ortiz, who's come over from the Baltimore Ravens, has mentioned a few times, that can be a huge game changer. Like, you never know who you're going to get in the 6th or 7th round. So very smart move by the Vikings. And who knows, Daniel Jones, maybe he gets a package. Could you imagine that, playing in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Let's not go that far. We'll see. Hey, guys, who is the young D-man that had his leg shattered and behind the net in Boston? Taylor Fadoon was was it against Boston? I thought it was Minnesota, but it's Taylor Fadoon's the guy who had his. Yeah, it might have been Boston, but yeah, that was awful. That was he's doing really well now, but that was not necessarily great. Yeah, it was against the Wild, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. So did somebody else get their now did Foster break his leg against Boston? Remember Curtis Foster?
But he wasn't with the Oilers.
No, he wasn't with the Oilers. So that's why Texter, you just have mixed up. It was Foster against the Bruins, and then it was as a member of the Wild, funny enough. And then, of course, it was Taylor Fadoon against the Wild when he's playing for the Oilers. So both of them were ugly. Oof, not good at all. Hey, Greggs, what's the reason, if you know why, Skinner hasn't been up on any of the top lines from Darcy? Well, it started Podkolzin's played better. Right? Podkolzin has fit in very well with Draisaitl. They're not going to switch that line. It's just that simple. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has chemistry with Connor McDavid that the coach just isn't willing to move. Jeff Skinner, I think it's got to get to a point. Skinner's going to have to get on a heater a little bit. He'll have to do what Connor Brown did. He'll have to play so well that Connor Brown got a bump up for a short period of time. Now, eventually that's going to end, right? Connor Brown's played, 4 games up there with McDavid, doesn't have a goal. McDavid only has 3 goals in those last 18 or 19 games. So I think eventually you will see Hyman and McDavid reunited here sooner than later. They obviously play some shifts together after penalties and different times in the game. I get it all, but I do think the Brown on the top line eventually is going to end. And it's not a knock on Connor Brown. He's just not a first line player. That's all. So, hey guys, even with the awful past 2 decades, the Raiders are still one of the perennial franchises in the league. I'd argue that if you had to pick just 6 teams when you think of the NFL, the Raiders is one of them. Plus, with all that cap space and draft picks from Lance, I don't know if the Raiders right now are a perennial franchise in the league. I don't think so at all. Right? Well, number one, you'd have the Chiefs, you have the Steelers, you would have. I think if we're talking just in the 2000s. The Raiders aren't even in the top half. The Ravens are ahead of them, for sure. The 49ers would be. Who else? Well, the Dallas Cowboys are still, the America's team. Now, they don't win, but they're more relevant. They've won more. They're more relevant than the Raiders. I'd like to look, Cons, do you have combined records of teams in the 2000s in the NFL? I'd love to find that out.
I'll take a look here. Every team's record since 2000.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
the Pats and got to be right up there.
The winning percentage: Patriots, Steelers, Packers, Eagles, Colts are your top 5.
Okay, and then where are the Raiders?
23rd. So yeah, and then they moved franchise cities as well. Yeah, Chiefs, Patriots, Steelers, Packers, Cowboys. I'd say they're all ahead of them. I would like the Raiders to be good, Gregor. It's one of those teams. If the Raiders were good, that'd be great. I think you've got the helmet over your left shoulder there, right?
That's my wife. She was a big Raiders fan. Honestly, just because of the look. The silver and black was iconic. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the best looking helmets around. I think it looks classy, but they've been junk for a long time. When was it? They had the one good season in the. They lost in the. Did they not lose in the Super Bowl with the veteran quarterback? His name.
They had Rich Gannon. But they traded Gruden to the Bucks, and they just decimated them. They knew their offensive game plan. Yeah. Dexter Jackson was the MVP. But yeah, you'd Rice. They had one playoffs where they lost to the Texans back in 2016. And then they lost the Bengals in 2021. They haven't won a playoff game since 2002. Yeah,
so you can't say that's 2 decades. You can't say they're a perennial team in the NFL right now. They're not. And it was, to me, it was when they were the Oakland Raiders, just had a little bit more panache.
Yeah.
Right now, so
even the LA Raiders.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate. But hey, I do like their helmet. I would say that. I would put up the Raiders logo in the top 5 for me. in the National Football League.
If you ever do want to drape a Chargers jersey over it, though, let me know.
I don't mind the bowl. Actually,
Some
a lot of my
powder blue?
buddies. Actually, I have like a lot of my buddies, Opper and JR and Sean. They're all huge Charger fans.
Really?
Oh God, yeah, they go down every year for a game.
Oh, nice. I got to hang out with these guys.
I don't know if they've ever seen many wins, but yeah, all of them. Ian, Colin, there's like JR. There's a group of like 7, and they're all huge Charger fans.
I know like 3 or 4. That puts us at 11. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Took over the Raiders Stadium. Not really took over, but they were loud.
Let's pump the brakes.
Although the Raiders Stadium in Vegas does get taken over. Cowboys, Steelers.
Oh, well,
Niners.
in Vegas now, but because they just moved there, so you don't even have a solid home fan base. The team isn't winning, so you're not bringing in new fans to say, "Hey, I love cheering for our team."
Yeah,
and then it's Vegas, so people go there all the time. They'll plan. I know diehard NFL fans will plan their, "Hey, we're going to Vegas this year. When's our team playing?" Okay,
yeah,
that's the weekend we'll go.
Are you doing one game?
Yeah,
you're doing one road trip. I'd do Vegas.
100%. I get why they do it. So, yeah, it's not like it was. Like you used to go to Oakland, man. You didn't want to wear an opposing jersey in that facility. Like it wasn't safe. It was almost like it was lunacy a little bit, and just how serious they would take it. But now the Raiders, I think, Cons, if we look up value though, I think they might be top 10 still in value of the team. But I'd like to see if it was updated, right? And again, that's just on paper. That's, you know what?
Yeah, Raiders coming at 7.
7? Oh, that's a good guess. I said 8. So,
6.7 billion.
The Forbes listings, keep in mind, certain teams, all of a sudden you'll get a ranking in the Forbes that comes out of nowhere. Yeah, so I'm always a little skeptical of how they value those things, right? So, but hey, the Raiders, they probably sell a lot of gear because it looks good, but there has been a slow demise of that team.
Giants and Jets are 4 and 5. So, yeah, put what you want into the Forbes value.
They're in a big market, but they're terrible organizations right now. Like
exactly.
They're not even close. Neither one of them is even close to being relevant in the NFL. And it's going to take a while to see it turn around. When we come back, hey, a guy who hopes that they're relevant. He was actually upset that they were winning games. That's how bad it's become to be a fan of the Giants, that you're mad that they win a game. But we'll talk Oilers. Josh Brown, what should you expect from him tonight on the blue line? We'll find out next. Struds will join us. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
It's Customer Appreciation Day at Vitality Health Foods. Take 25% off select NACA products like NACA Platinum Nattokinase for heart health, NACA Nutri Probiotic for digestion, and the antioxidant NACA Platinum Quercetin. Customer Appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of each month. Visit vitalityhealthfoods.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fan. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
PWHL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquessential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk. Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Dr. Vance, does a hair transplant have to look like a hair transplant? There's a guy at work, his is totally obvious.
My goal is to give every one of my patients a full, natural-looking head of hair, so I stay up to date on the latest innovations. This is science, and more importantly, an art. I do things differently and move more hair than is normally done, resulting in a thicker look that is also more natural.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Diablo Boots in Canada West, the 2 best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwood, and Dakota when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods.
If you change your mind, take a chance on the touching line. Take a chance. Honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. If you need me, let me know. Let me around. If you got no place to go, you feel it now.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.223, welcome back. It is game day on Sports 1440. Sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Oilers into Boston. Tonight, Pittsburgh. Tomorrow, Chicago on Saturday. And let's get to Struds On, brought to you by Action Electrical, where building owners can get a refundable federal tax rebate of up to 30% off right now for on their commercial work. Find out how through actionelectrical.net. They can walk you through it.
The Jason Gregor Show presents Struds On.
I don't believe in tea bags. I use loose leaf tea. It is so much better than the tea bags. I'll eat tea bags. I'll
Struds On.
I'm not a huge DJ guy. I mean, I guess if you hand me a couple glow sticks and a tight white t-shirt that I can get wet, maybe I'd be into it.
Struds On.
There's a lone steakhouse I used to go to down in Kentucky, and they had bowls of peanuts. I wasn't sucking on those ones. I mean, you need to have clean nut. I'm talking about the kind you get in a bag at an Elks game. You know what I mean?
It's time for Struds On.
Oh, Struddy. Nobody sucks on nuts better than Struds. Struds, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. Happy New Year, guys. Everything's good over there or what?
Yeah, things are good. Things are good. The Oilers, I want to get your thoughts on Josh Brown coming in tonight. And he'll be in for Troy Stetcher. And kind of what's your expectations? We've seen Brown, obviously the preseason games he struggled in. But in the few regular season games he's played, I thought he looked fine. Like he is what he is. But, I'm not surprised that he's going in against Boston, who's got a pretty big, heavier forward group, especially in their bottom six.
Yeah, so situational, right? That's what they want. They want a big body that's going to knock some people around, and he can do that. And for Josh, the best way for him to play in the cleanest way is to get the puck on and off his stick as quick as possible. And I know that because I was him. We were the same player. You get it on your stick. You've got to know what you're going to do with it before it comes to you. Then get it off your stick right away, whether that's on regroups, breakouts, and then really rely on your partner to communicate with you because Boston is still pretty fast. And, if you hear the right call, the goalie makes the right call, trust them and make that play quickly. And when he does that, he can do it because he's a pretty good defender, right? He takes up space. He's getting in the way. Defending is his strength. So play to your strengths. Try to keep the puck off your stick as much as possible. And he can have a nice 12 to 13, 14 minutes of ice time tonight when he plays in the NHL.
Struddy, you've now had close to 40 games to watch Ty Emberson. And he'd only played 30 last year. What's been your takeaway as we come up to the midway point of the season?
Well, confidence is number one for him, and his confidence is going, a ton. But that's because he's been put in the right situation. Right from the get-go, they tried to put him beside Darnell, and that didn't work. And the team wasn't, maybe exactly where they wanted to be either. But he was put beside a guy in Kulak and at times Stetcher, where he's been able to thrive. And then you put him in the penalty-killing spot beside Ekholm, and he's done a good job there, so his confidence is coming. But Emberson, he's a little bit different than Josh Brown in that he can make a really good first pass and he skates well. So, you don't need him skating out of trouble, but use your feet to find a lane to make a pass or to defend well, come across and, sweep over and cut the guy off. And then just play to your strengths. He doesn't have to be super fancy. They have Bouchard, Ekholm, those guys that can make the fancier plays. Make clean plays, get it up to your forward, and keep your own end tight. And he can play for a long time in the NHL.
Yeah, I look at Emberson. He's been very good on the penalty kill. He's a pretty good skater. And I've liked it every now and then. Like he's dropped the mitts a few times. He's not afraid to chuck him. A little bit old school. You pick your battles wisely. He's not going to throw down with any of the heavyweights in the NHL, but he's not afraid to chuck him, which I think is just in today's NHL strategy. You just need a few guys who are willing to do it once, twice a year, and that's all you need in today's game, right? Just guys willing to step up when need be. Leon Draisaitl has had an unreal season. He's on an unreal heater right now. A 14-game point streak, ties a career high. He's got 12 goals, 27 points. He's he's been dynamic, I think, offensively. He's been really good defensively. And on a team where Connor McDavid's on the team, I don't think it's even close who the Oilers MVP is as we near the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, and how crazy is that? And how nice is that for the Oilers, actually? You know what? Leon's had a great season, and he's been, both ends of the rink. He's getting it done. He's been a leader. And I think one of my favorite games from his was the other night where he admittedly didn't play a good game, his line, but that was the one he scored the game-winning goal. So even when he's not at his best, he knows it, acknowledged it, but is able to find a way to help the team win a game. And that's what great players do. Like, guys that are more in the middle or bottom of your lineup, oh man, I'm having a tough night and this and that, and their confidence goes down. He's like, I just need one shot and I'm going to make up for my whole game, right? Or at least not make up for it, but at least make it okay that I can, I've had a tough one. So I think the piece that I think he and the whole team is avoiding right now is a lot of physicality. And I get it. I don't think that right now you want these guys running other guys and really trying to be physical. They've shown they can be physical, and Leon can be way more physical. But I think they've paced themselves, which makes sense because you don't need to be so physical in game 39 as you do game 90 or 100 if the Oilers are able to get there again.
Yeah, well, you look at Edmonton, Struds, and the kind of their roster construction right now. They're obviously going to make some moves here. I think that's obvious. I think they're going to add a defenseman. Now, ideally, they'd like a right shot D-man, but we've seen Brett Kulak. He's played with Nurse, and he's played fairly well. I think he doesn't look uncomfortable. He's done it enough now that and you've talked about it. Some guys can play their offside, no problem. I think Kulak's showing that. I look at up front though. I think it's obvious they need a fourth line center. Derek Ryan's being a healthy scratch more than he's played lately, so the writing's on the wall in that regard. How many games would you like to see from a guy like Noah Philp to know if he's a potential option?
Oof. I love the idea of him. I love the idea of he's exactly what they need. And that'd be a massive solution. So, man, I'd probably want to see him here in February. So what is that? 10 games? 9 games? Whatever it is. February. Actually, it's not even that many games because of the Four Nations Cup. So, I'd say 8 to 10 games, and put him in difficult situations, some penalty kill situations, some must-win draw situations just to find out what he's got. But the idea of him is exactly what they need. And you're right. I think a fourth line center is definitely what they got. But if you can solve that internally, because I look at Kapanen, Kapanen might be the kind of guy you'd probably trade for, right? He's pretty physical, can make plays, and is fast. And you got him for nothing. So are they able to keep him here? Are they going to have to lose him? I don't know. Hopefully they can keep him around. But, they have Kane coming in. So that's like another guy coming in on your roster at some point. So the fourth line center and the D-man seem to be the spots that I would definitely highlight, and a specific type of D-man as well.
Is there a type that you like? Somebody with size is obviously what they're looking for. Agreed?
I agree. But I don't want a battleship. I want a guy that can make plays. Like Savard out of Montreal. God love him, but he's a battleship, right? He just skates around and runs into guys. I want someone that can at least try to make a few plays and a little bit more mobile in there. And a right shot guy. I mean, you look at Anaheim, they have both Ratko Gudas and Trouba. I mean, Trouba, he is mean. He's a really mean guy, and he can make some decent plays. And if he's on your third pairing, maybe that makes sense. Now, does Anaheim want to, dance? Do they want to eat half of that salary for 2 years? I don't know. But, that's the kind of guy. I don't want just a battleship. I want someone that can move and make a few plays, but bring a real edge. Because if you had a guy like Trouba to Nurse, Emberson, who's physical, Ekholm's physical and big, that's 4 guys that are – and Kulak doesn't back down either. That's going to be a fairly aggressive type D that you're going to need when you play some of these heavy teams in the West.
Yeah, they're going to – I agree. You can't just get a big body who can't move the puck in today's game. It doesn't work. But I think somebody – I look at Troy Stetcher, and, man, if Troy Stetcher was 6'2" or 3 – he'd be fine. He's competitive as everything. He moves the puck well. He skates well. He competes hard. It's just, I think his size at times is likely going to keep him out of the lineup every night of the playoffs.
If he was 6'3", he'd be a $5 million a night D-man, right? He what's the difference between him and Adam Larsson? He's big. He can, Stetcher can skate. He defends hard. He's competitive. He mixes in a little offense every now and then. I'm a big fan of his. But so that's your perfect number 7. Right, there's your 7. Then you kind of go out after that, and Brown's maybe your 8. Dermott, I guess. Or Dermott got picked up. So, I don't know if you need to add another one after 8 deep, but getting the right fit for the D-man is a big move. And I'd be looking around trying to find the right guy that can kind of make those plays for make the plays, but also be physical. You got to have a bit of both. I don't want just a playmaker, and I don't just want a battleship. I want someone who's in between. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Rasmus Andersson is the guy, but I can't see Craig Conroy being the guy that makes that trade to the Oilers. But that would be if you want to know my wish list, just like I want a new hairpiece, that is my favorite guy is Rasmus Andersson.
Well, so it's interesting you brought that up, Strider. We're getting a lot of text about it. Just people wondering if, just kind of in the last month, if all of a sudden you've changed your hairstyle a little bit, because got a lot of text wondering about that. I didn't see your last appearance on air, but they just were wondering if all of a sudden it's if you're looking at going to Turkey sooner than later.
Well, you know what? At first, I appreciate people texting me. I have changed hair products, and someone told me my hair looks fuller. So I didn't think it actually had that big a deal. So thank you for noticing, everybody.
Oh, that's good. Now, do you have a few other people wondering, have you ever thought about like sporting a leather jacket during one of your appearances?
Because Gager wears one, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah. That's why you should.
It does. I couldn't wear a leather jacket. I have a leather jacket. I barely wear it out.
Oh, dude, you got to wear it once. Come on. You got to wear it one time. One per four. Wear it with the sweater. You love the sweater, so wear it with the sweater. Maybe even a scarf around it, and then just have the leather jacket on. Oh, I think
like Fonzie.
Yeah, well, whatever. Hey, buddy, you wish you could be the Fonz, right? Just hit the jukebox. Boom, you're dance. You got the dance-a-thon. Remember Fonz and the dance-a-thon? It's one of the greatest episodes ever.
You know what? I'll consider. I can't make any promises, but it's just hearing that people have noticed it changed my hair. Maybe it's going to give me the confidence to step up.
Dude. Like, you got it. What are you waiting for, right? Hey, don't put off today. We can do tomorrow. Come on, we got it. The people want to see it. They want to see it. Quickly, give me your thoughts on like if you look at the Oilers' optimal lineup, and let's assume that this is playoffs and Evander Kane is healthy. Because he's out for so long, Struds, I can't see him as more as he's a bottom six guy to me. And if he plays out of his mind, great, then that's a bonus. But I'm planning on him being a bottom six guy. Is that too low? Do you think he could come back and be a top six, or is that more realistic?
Man, it's a long time out, right? So he's going to be fresh and he's going to be 100% healthy and in really good shape, but that's not game shape. And game shape's a little bit different. So I would probably start him down there just so that he can kind of work his way back up. But if he can work his way through 1, 2, 3, or 4 rounds and work his way into the top six, that would be absolutely wild and impressive for him and great for the Oilers. But I think it'd be more realistic to have him on that third line. And so what does your third line look like? Is it Kane with Henrique and Brown? Is that his third line? And then, where does that leave Jan Mark? Obviously, that's his Knobloch's favorite player, so he's definitely playing. Perry, maybe Ryan's out. You got Kapanen, you got Derek Ryan, and maybe a new player in there. So there's a lot of options there, which is a great thing. But I'd start him on the third line, man. I think that's where I'd have him.
Yeah. Is Jeff Skinner on your playoff roster?
Man, I love the look of that fourth line the other day. What was that?
Skinner, Kapanen, and Ryan?
And Henrique. Well, the one with Henrique, Perry, and Skinner. I love that line. I thought they were, if not the best line, one of the top 2 best lines for the Oilers in that game. That was a couple games ago. I really like that line. I think that's a line that can get a lot done. Not the most physical line, but Perry can get it done. The other 2 are pretty smart. It just depends what you look. I honestly, right now, I think it's situational, Greg. Just like you at the beginning, you talked about Brown against heavier teams. Maybe your Skinner's in a situation where you're not getting as many goals, so you pop him in that third or fourth line and try to get it going. I want him to get a chance further up the lineup. Paul Colson has stolen that spot. I just don't see him leaving that spot, and Arvidsson seems to be there as well. So that leaves the top line. Then that second line, there's nowhere else in the top 6. So now he's looking and fighting for a spot on that third or fourth line and trying to create the right mix.
Yeah, well, it's a good problem to have. I don't know if Corey Perry's a regular every night in the playoffs. I'd be shocked if he is, right? Like I could see him and Kapanen kind of, situational at times against, like, if you're playing a quick team, I don't think Corey Perry's playing. Right? That's just how it is. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that, but it's going to be situational. I think they're going to want probably 14 forwards, but I don't think there's any chance Derek Ryan's on your playoff roster.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be. Yeah, he's been a good Oiler, right? He's been really good for the team. I think he'll be more situational than anything. But the thing about Corey Perry is if the series becomes a track meet, that's not his strength. But if he comes a ground and pound in the offensive zone, that's his strength. He's making so many plays this year, walking out of the corner and setting guys up and hanging on to pucks. Like, he's so smart. He really understands how to make it happen. So, track meet, that's just not his game anymore. And not that he was ever the fastest guy, but definitely not anymore now.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So it will be interesting to see. What do you make of the Bruins? Like, I look at their team and like, they can't score. They're 27th in offense right now. Now, David Pastrnak has woken up recently. He's got 5 goals in his last 5 games, including back-to-back multi-goal games. But like, Elias Lindholm has been an absolute flop there. He's got 20 points. He has a point, Struds, in 15 of 42 games for the Bruins this year. 15. Yeah. And they're paying him almost 8 sheets.
Yeah, for not just 1 year either. It's going to be there for a while. So I feel like we're starting to see the Bruins come. They've peaked, and now they're coming down the other way, right? They've lost some pretty important players to retirement. You look at Brad Marchand, isn't getting any younger. So you're starting to come down the other side now. And so the dangerous thing about a team like this is they can have those nights where they really do dial in and get it going, but they just don't have it as much as they used to anymore. So I think for the Oilers tonight, I said it, I'll say it every time. They need to be mature in their approach. Don't be yourself. Let Boston, play their game. Let them eventually, they'll make a mistake or they'll give you an opportunity and bang, you capitalize on it. Because the Bruins, they can still rise up and do a good job, but they're not who they were or have been the last many years since, Bergeron and those guys arrived.
Struddy, who are the Giants going to take in the draft?
Oh, God. Why would you win that game? I still bothers me. Then they don't fire their coach or GM. I'm like, well, so maybe we'll get the first pick next year. Maybe that's the goal. Because I think Archie Manning, Connor can confirm, but I'm pretty sure Archie Manning comes out next year. So maybe that's the goal. We're just going to run this thing even worse than 3 wins. But there's an offensive lineman. I can't remember his name. I was looking up the other day. Offensive lineman, big guy, 6'6". So hopefully they'll get that and just keep drafting till they get the offensive line right. Then they have Arch Manning coming in. That'd be a good nephew of soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Eli Manning.
Oh, my goodness. Ooh. Well, we're talking, like, who is a more irrelevant franchise right now, the Raiders or the Giants?
Oh, you're not wrong. I'm not even I can't even be cocky about him anymore. The only good thing is that Eli's going to get in the Hall of Fame, and we're just struggling. Even Malik Neighbors, that's like putting $10,000 tires on a Honda Subaru, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. It just, we need other pieces. He's a really good player. Don't get me wrong, but just like Saquon Barkley, he has to probably have to go somewhere else to realize his true potential.
Yeah, you're probably right there, unfortunately. Struddy, have a great one. Enjoy the game tonight, and we will chat with you next Tuesday.
Love the early start, boys. Love it. Talk to you guys later.
There you go. That's Jason Strudwick, co-host of the Got Your Back podcast. Joins us every Tuesday here on Sports 1440. Quick break. We'll go out to Boston, the Beantowners. Why can't they score? What's up with the lack of offense? They're 27th in the league. Find out that and more next on the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service,
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.247, welcome back. Honda Subaru. Oh, classic. You know what? We haven't had a kind of a new Strudyism in a while, Cons, but there's that one got a lot of the attention of the texters. So that's a classic. That is a classic.
He's been too comfortable, Gregor, like from his home hanging out.
True.
We got him after hockey today, so it leaked.
Oh, yeah, it's coming back. It's coming back. So that's good. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. They have cars, of course, one of Canada's number one Volvo dealerships, 13-time winner of Excellence Award in Sales and Service. And right now, their winter event is on. You can lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $4,500. Sweet deal at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. The Oilers are in Boston to take on the Bruins. Scott McLaughlin from Audacity Sports and the Skate Pod joins us. And Scott, I guess the big concern in Boston is the lack of offense. They come in, they're 27th in the NHL. Now, the good news is David Pastrnak has come alive here with 5 goals in the last 5 games, including back-to-back multi-goal games, but he can't do it alone. Like, what's been your biggest takeaway for the lack of offense from the Bruins?
Yeah, it's really a lack of finishing. That under Joe Sacco, took over November 19th, they've done a better job creating chances. Some of these games where they end up with only 1 goal, they have the chances. They put up 30, 35 shots. They can't finish. They are near the bottom of the NHL in shooting percentage. Their power play has been really bad all year. That obviously hurts the offense. So I would really highlight those 2 things. It's finishing, which, is part luck, part talent, and then just not being able to get anything from the power play.
Now, what's up with the power play? Like, you still got one of the best shooters in the game. You got Charlie McAvoy, you got Brad Marchand. Like, it's not like they got a bunch of stiffs.
No, they don't. But other than Pastrnak, not enough of those guys are willing to shoot, and the puck movement is often way too slow. It's a lot of guys holding on to puck, trying to look for the perfect play and not just being ready to pull the trigger and throwing it on net. So it makes it easier for penalty kills to key in on Pastrnak when he's really been the only shooting weapon on the power play.
Yeah, like 12.6%. The only reason they're not dead last is because the Islanders are in the league and their power play has been dreadful for a long, long time. So I guess that's the only saving grace for them. Looking at the matchup tonight against the Oilers, for decades, Edmonton, Boston was where they'd go to lose. Even when they were winning cups in the 80s, they couldn't win in Boston. But the McDavid-Draisaitl era, they're 7-1 in Boston since 2016. And tonight you got Parker Wotherspoon. I know he played on the top pair last game with Charlie McAvoy. What have you seen from Wotherspoon, and do you think he's ready to be a top pair guy?
Yeah, I don't really think he's ready to be a top pair guy. I think they're trying to figure out what works in their top 4 right now. Hampus Lindholm still being out has been a pretty big blow for them.
Yes.
But Wotherspoon has just been solid defensively. He's out there to be a defense-first guy, take care of business down low around the net. And for the most part, he's done that. Now, can he handle a matchup against either McDavid or Draisaitl or both, if that's how things play out tonight? That I'm not sure of. That would be a big ask from Parker Wotherspoon.
Well, yeah, he's probably going to see, if you're playing with Charlie McAvoy, you're going to see both of those guys, I would think, a lot of the time. The Bruins, Trent Frederick, he's a winger. He's been playing center. They've got that line with him and Brazeau and Wallstrom. They played, I think it's 4 or 5 games I've seen that they played together. How do you see Frederick? Like, obviously he can play wing and center. Is he better at one than the other in your eyes?
I think he's been better at wing throughout his NHL career. He's tended to produce more there. I think when he plays center, he can do the defensive job, and the Bruins ask a lot defensively from their centers, but he struggles to do both. If he's doing the defensive work, he doesn't get as involved offensively. So I think, being on the wing takes some of that defensive pressure off him and frees him up a little bit more to go in on offense. So, yeah, they have him at center now because they moved Charlie Coyle up to second line right wing, and they like how he's played there. He was another guy who just, hadn't been producing. They needed to figure out a way to get more out of him. So Coyle bumps to the wing, and Frederick kind of by default has to step into that third line center role. And that line with Wahlstrom and Brazo in particular, they've tried a couple other guys there, but that line for a couple of games when they first got put together didn't do much of anything. They have looked better the last few games though. So that's been an encouraging sign for the Bruins. Frederick scored last game. Brazo scored a few here recently. Wahlstrom, they're still kind of waiting to get going and really to see what they have in him. He's only played, I think maybe 6 games now since they claimed him off waivers. So they're still kind of feeling out exactly what he's going to be for them.
Looking at Jeremy Swayman's season, like some of his numbers, they look really good. It's just a lack of offense that his win totals are down. Is because I look at his goals against, his save percentage. He had a little bit of a funk early, which is not surprising considering he missed all of training camp. But how would you evaluate Swayman now that Allmark's gone?
I think he still looks kind of shaky. The numbers have gotten better, and he did have a stretch of, I think it was 7 straight starts of 3 goals or fewer until he gave up 4 on Saturday night in Toronto. But it's still not consistent enough. He's being paid like one of the top goalies in the NHL now, so that's what the expectation is. And he really hasn't gotten to that level yet, even though he has improved from where he started the season. His high danger save percentage is low. There's been his puck handling has not been good. There's been some really questionable decisions. He had a bad giveaway down in New York on Thursday that just handed the Rangers an odd man rush and a goal. And there's still been a couple too many of those. So he's, they still need him to pick it up quite a bit here in the second half.
Looking at the Atlantic Division, you know what? You got Florida, Toronto, but then you got Boston, Tampa Bay. Suddenly the Montreal Canadiens are nipping at the heels of the Bruins. They do have some games at hand. Even Detroit, like Boston, they're in a playoff spot, but they're not overly comfortable in a playoff spot. They've lost 4 in a row. I know the last one was in overtime, but are you sensing a little bit of nervousness around that organization? Like they're going to get going here because all of a sudden they're looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and this 4-game losing streak has really kind of ramped that up because they had been starting to look pretty comfortable. They had a bit of a cushion. No one outside the top 8 was really making a push. All of a sudden you lose 4 straight. As you said, Montreal goes on a little bit of a run here, and all of a sudden it really tightens up. And now if you're the Bruins, you look ahead, their next 5 games are all against playoff teams. The next 4 are Edmonton, Tampa, Florida, Tampa. So that's about, as tough as you get. Right. And the rest of the month, 9 of 11 are against playoff teams. So this is, this could turn into a make or break month for them. Like if they come through this okay and they're securing a playoff spot, then I think they're in it and they look for ways to improve. But if this goes south, then things could get ugly pretty quick, and we could be talking about selling off some pieces. So yeah, I think certainly among the front office, I think there's probably some nerves right now. I don't really sense it as much among the players, but I do think there's definitely an urgency there to pick it up and get this thing, back on track, back to where it looked like they were, a couple weeks ago.
There hasn't been a lot of talk about it, but Brad Marchand's a pending UFA at the end of the season. And, he's been a lifelong Bruin. I'm sure he wants to remain a Bruin. Any idea what type of contract talks have gone on and what he would be looking for? Are we talking like a Joe Pavelski type of 2 or 3 year deal?
Yeah, it's interesting. That is what I think it'll eventually end up at, assuming it ggets done. But, it is curious, like, to be going through this season with your captain still unsigned. Earlier in the year, Elliot Friedman had a report that they were closing on an extension, and Marchand immediately shot it down post game. And sure enough, here we are a couple months later, and there's still nothing done. So yeah, I think it's probably a shorter term deal. I don't think he's quite at the point of like Patrice Bergeron, Zdeno Chara towards the end. We're going year to year on really team friendly deals. I don't think Marchand's quite there yet. I think he probably wants a little bit more security still. But yeah, I think, as long as this doesn't really go south, then there's going to be mutual interest, and you got to figure eventually something gets done. But, if you had asked me at the start of the season, I would have thought it would have been done before now.
Yeah, and they got two interesting players that are pending UFAs in Justin Brazeau, who, he's really kind of emerged another late bloomer. He's making league minimum right now. And then Trent Frederick, who makes $2.3 million. And those are two guys that I could see why they would want to test the free agent market, because there's not many physical big forwards around the NHL. Like those guys seem like, typical Boston Bruin players. Do you think contracts get done here, or could you see one, if not both of these guys, test the market just because they're such unique players?
Yeah, I think Brazeau, that they'll probably want to get done. They just signed Mark Kaslik to an extension last week. So that was one, bottom six piece who's come in this season, had a really nice season for them. I feel like Brazeau could be next. Frederick's the really interesting one, because they, obviously he makes a little more money, and there's probably more interest in him around the league. He has a longer track record, obviously. And you got to figure, if they get to a point where they're either selling or doing, a little bit of a retool, he would probably be first on the line in terms of trading away from the active roster. There's obviously been a lot of reports and rumors about interest around the league, teams asking about Frederick. So that one's, I would say he is probably the least secure of the group, mainly because, the Bruins, even with him struggling this year, they can probably get a real asset or two for him.
Well, I was just going to say, at the trade deadline, he can play center if need be. He's obviously more of a winger, but it helps to have a guy who can do both in case you get into injury problems. He's physical. He's tough. He's not having the best season offensively, but he's a third line player on every team in the NHL, in my opinion. And he's somebody, so if he's on your fourth line, well, then it's even better. He's a fascinating guy to watch, because if the Bruins are, in a fight for the playoffs, but on our lock, I could see them maybe saying, hey, if we're not going to sign him, maybe we trade him.
Right. Or maybe it even, frees up some salary where they turn around and make another move to add, or look for someone with some term or something where it's not just a rental. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways that it could go for them, and for Trent Frederick as well.
Scott, thanks so much for this, man. Enjoy the game tonight. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's Scott McLaughlin joining us from Audacity Sports and the Skate Pod in Boston. So Wotherspoon will be playing with McAvoy tonight, going up against the Oilers. Frederick, that's a huge line. Frederick, Brazeau, and Wahlstrom for the Bruins. So they might go head-to-head against the Henrique, Skinner, Hyman line. We'll see. They might even put those guys out against the Draisaitl line. It'd be interesting to see the matchups tonight. But I'm telling you, Trent Frederick he'd be an interesting player as we near the trade deadline if he doesn't have a contract. So we'll watch for that. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay warm all winter at Legacy Heating. On your furnace, not your AC. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It's game day. The Edmonton Oilers out in Boston, set to take on the Bruins. Puck drop just after 5. We got pregame coverage with Andrew Walker, Jason Gregor coming up at 4 o'clock right here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere around the league, you got the Red Wings and Sens. Stars in New York taking on the Rangers. Penguins, Jackets, Canes, Lightning. Flyers host the Leafs. The Blues in Minnesota. Flames taking on the Ducks. Jets host the Preds. and the Golden Knights in San Jose. In the NBA, Lakers take on the Mavericks, Pelicans host the Timberwolves, Celtics, Nuggets, and the Warriors hosting the Miami Heat. One game in the PWHL, the New York Sirens hosting the Ottawa Charge. Puck drop 5 o'clock. And in the AJ, Drayton Valley and Olds taking on the Grizzlies. That'll get going just after 7 o'clock. From the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders announced today they fired head coach Antonio Pierce after one full season with a record of 4-13. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by former NHLer Star Shoresy Terry Ryan, also Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goals. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhock beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhock beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhock beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through a lovely Tuesday afternoon. It is game day. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X as the Oilers into Boston to take on the Bruins tonight. And, of course, playalberta.ca, where you can get in the action. Oilers on the road, still the favorite tonight against the Beantowners. As we welcome to the show, of course, he was a first-round selection of the Montreal Canadiens in Edmonton, 1995. He's a two-time author, stars as Hitch in Shoresy in the Newfoundland Sports Hall of Fame. Terry Ryan joins us. TR, how you doing?
Oh, I'm not bad. How's it going? I mean, I've seen better days. Lost my cat trying to find him, but it's all good.
Oh,
No, well, it's not. It's not all good, but yeah. I'm in the mix. I'm having a really up and down day, to be honest.
Now, how long is your cat been missing?
Got a little bit sick a couple days ago and haven't seen him since. It's rare.
Oh, okay. So maybe hopefully he's all good. How long you had your cat?
About 10 years.
Oh, geez, yeah, that's a tough one. Now, are you wearing a robe right now?
No, it's a hoodie.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
Hockey for hope. Although I do enjoy the odd robe. I got 3, and they're all on heavy rotation.
Really? So
Oh,
you
yeah.
walk around like in the morning or at night with a robe on?
I do, but I have I always liked a robe. I have a robe in my hockey bag, but I always liked wearing a robe the odd time at the rink. But I have a hot tub about 15 feet from my door out back, and it's perfect for that as well.
Okay, so you wear the now. When you go in the hot tub, are you going commando? Or are you wearing anything under the robe?
Half and half. Yeah.
Half. Oh, all right.
I go once in a while if it's dark out. Now I don't have any fence or anything around, so yeah, it would have to be dark out, or else there's a heavy. And I got a path, like it's down. I'm about 10 feet up. It's.
But you got trees in your backyard. I've seen the
I
video.
do, but if I was out there naked in the day, the people walking by, even though like I'm looking kind of down, but they could look up and see me for sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're not going in your birthday suit during the day, which
Not really. Right now, there's nobody out walking that path. You're right. It's a little path out back a river. It's a nice and secluded area, but at any point during the day, there's people that are out being active and walking by, and you know, they don't all look up, but I don't generally want to sit there. And to be quite honest, I don't want to reveal the reality of Ted Hitchcock, whether it's bigger or biggest. I don't need that out there. After the show's done, that mystery can be solved. Or if you'd like, but you know, it's just right now I'm on a roll, and it's just got to be Teddy Hitchcock.
Hey, yeah, you got to keep that private. I get it. I understand it. So, well, that's why you've been celibate for 3 years. That's fantastic. Now, the Boston, like you've been to Boston, I know many times. Boston, it seems like they could be a Maritimes. Like there's a lot of similarities. Is there not? Like obviously it's much bigger, but there's lots of similarities. Is there not?
There are a lot. You know, one of the things I did in university was folklore, and get you many jobs. But there is, there's interesting elements because you're studying the like stories and traditions and songs that get passed down over time. So when you take the borders away, Newfoundland only became part of Canada in 1949. So you know, and the further you go back, Boston, I mean, there's even a song, Great Big Sea has it. I don't know if it's their song. It's called From Boston to St. John. Actually, it is their song. From Boston to St. John's. Like, you know, there are a lot of the same names. Well, I went down there. I mean, we played there about a month ago with the Shoresy crowd, and multiple Ryans at the game that say they were related to me if we go back the line. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the same. Chris Nyland's uncle is from here, grew up in Boston. A lot of back and forth. You know, Boston, I think the further you go back, there'd probably be more and more people going to Boston. You know, nowadays it's Toronto or Fort McMurray, a lot of places in Alberta. But no, there's a strong, we have a strong relationship with Boston and Philadelphia by extension, a lot of those places. But Boston is Irish too, right? And a lot of our heritage is Irish. So, you know, we bands that play here often want to go down and play in Boston versus anywhere in Canada, you know. So there is a unique relationship cross country between St. John's, Newfoundland, and Boston.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now, are you up on the Boston slang? Do you know what the water bubbler is?
No.
That's water fountain. That's what they call the water fountains there. A grinder, and not on the ice reference, but do you know what they call the grinder in Beantown?
The grinder? No.
Oh, like grinder. Do you want to go to the grinder? It's a submarine store, like a sub stop. That's what they call it, the grinder.
Oh yeah, okay. I've heard people refer to a sub sandwich as a grinder. Never knew where it came from.
Yeah, and Frappies. That's their milkshake. So I was talking to Ryan Whitney. We were exchanging texts and some other things because I wrote my article today at Oilers Nation. I was just having a little bit of fun with Boston and some of their slang and different things like that. Because I was looking it up and so I texted him, I'm like, is this true? Because I always, before I want to write, I want to say, like, it's just because you read on the internet doesn't mean it's 100% true. So I asked him because obviously he's from there. And, I'd asked him about the pizza, right? Because a lot of people say that pizza is like a slang word for awesome. And he's like, only trashy people use it. He goes, I used it once at the dinner table in middle school. And my dad said, never say that word again. So pizza is not the word. It's not as awesome as you think it is. But wicked, obviously, everybody's heard that one. They use that one quite a bit. Wicked hard,
Wicked, yeah. That crosses over here too. I mean, if you want to go back to your original questions about the relationship, we have the captain of Boston Universities from Newfoundland. Oh God, Ryan Green, and Abby Newhook is also the captain of the female team. She's Alex's. Okay. So I mean, two captains of Boston University hockey teams from right here in St. John's, and Alex Newhook played down there. I got lots of friends that moved down. I know I'm kind of going back to your first question, but I just wanted to point that out. Where it's not just culture, it's sports too.
Yeah, 100%. And Boston, I was like, they've had 13 championships in the Big Four sports just in the 2000s alone, which is the most of any city in North America. It's not even close, to be honest. So, they've got a little strut in their step. There's a little bit of a peacock. How about this? The Boston Bruins have the most wins in the NHL of any team in the 2000s. And even since they won the Cup in 2011, they've had the most wins since then. Like, they've been a really good team organization for a long time. Like, the 2 years in 15 and 16 when they missed the playoffs, they had 93 and 96 points, and they missed the playoffs, right? So, like, their, quote, bad years aren't bad years.
Wow. And, I mean, I know this should be fresh in my memory, but it didn't 2 years ago. I know they got upset, but wasn't that like the most points ever or close?
Ever. Yeah, no, it was. It was the greatest regular season ever in NHL history. And then they lost in the first round, which obviously kind of ruined it all. But,
so you got one cup in there, right?
Yeah, 2011, they won a cup. Like, the Bruins they've lost the Stanley Cup final more than any organization in NHL history, 14 times. And but they've won 6 cups in franchise history, of course, in 2011. Then they won in 72 and 70. And then you got to go way back to like 41, 39, 29. So,
well, I'll give you this. So if you were looking at, so Boston has 1 cup and it was a long time ago. I mean, in the 2000s, but you said they win a lot, and I know it. So like, if you were going to trade for a guy, would you consider, if he came from Boston, that's a winning culture? I would. They only have the 1 cup a long time ago, but to me, whenever you're in a sport with 30 odd teams and you can consistently not only get in the playoffs but go a long way, I think that is a winning culture, even though you might have lost. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. Like, winning a cup is nice, and I get all that. Like, I look at Edmonton, for instance. Florida won the cup. Edmonton lost. They lost Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. Is the group of Edmonton, like, did Florida do that much more in Game 7 that you're like, oh my God, they paid the price, Edmonton didn't pay the price? I don't buy it. You know what? It was, they scored Edmonton. Basically, they outscored them because when Florida scored, Janmark scored like 2 minutes later, I think it was, right? So it was a close game the entire time. Edmonton had chances. I actually rewatched the third period the other day. And I was like, oh, my God, like McDavid and Hyman must have had nightmares after that, because they had the one chance in front of the net where they just couldn't score. And normally they would score. So, yeah, I think Boston, they've had a very successful run. Now, they had Zdeno Chara, and you talk to all the players. He kind of set the tone there. And then Patrice Bergeron. And they spread it around to Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak. But Charlie McAvoy's still there. But, Marchand's 36, and he's getting older now. Pasternak's still obviously an elite player, but I think, Terry, there's something to be said about, they signed Zdeno Chara the first year of the salary cap era, 2006, right? And then 5 years later, they won the cup, and he was there the entire time. They lost in the cup final a few times. They were really good, and every teammate talked about how he set the tone. There was no hierarchy there. He didn't treat the rookies different, right? Like there was a lot of things that he personally didn't believe in, and no one was questioning. It's Zdeno Chara, like, he beat the hell out of you. Like, look how big he was, right? But he commanded respect, and so I wonder how much of that came like it's a big key cog of your organization. But now that he's gone and Patrice Bergeron's gone, does it slowly start to chip away? That's going to be their challenge.
That is. I'm glad you pointed that out because I think that's a huge challenge. And I don't care what sport it is, what league it is, what level it is. When you lose such a big presence out of the room, well, it's one thing to lose a big presence, a big positive leadership presence. Those are not easy to replace. And sometimes it's just, and obviously not on the ice, but I mean off the ice. It becomes like a mental thing. And I mean, it is part of learning, and players that go through it and go through it well can really adapt and I think become leaders in their own right. I mean, that's the cycle of hockey. That's the cycle of life. But there is no doubt that sometimes you might look at a team and go, wow, you know, like obviously they were probably going to not do as well, but the drop off is huge. Now we're only halfway through the year, but I just mean, I really do think because it not only changes the confidence and the leadership in the room, it almost is a bit of a change of culture. And some teams are great at getting that back because they draft the right players and they bring in the right players, and that's a big part of what they do. And some teams aren't. I guess that's what winning and losing is. But yeah, I really, really look up to the Bruins, how they approach everything. For the most part, they've made mistakes, but on and off the ice, and I think they've built a winning culture, even though, I mean, if you look at Stanley Cup banners, you probably won't see that. But like we said, for me, it's the polar opposite of a team like Buffalo, even though, if you were to go back 10 years, neither one has won a cup, but I'd much prefer the player that has been through more adversity and winning in one way or the other.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, through Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We'll come back. Spec will join us from Boston. The Oilers getting set to take on the Bruins. We also have 5 questions coming up later on, the pregame show, and much, much more. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
It's Customer Appreciation Day at Vitality Health Foods. Take 25% off select NACA products like NACA Platinum Nattokinase for heart health, NACA Nutri Probiotic for digestion, and the antioxidant NACA Platinum Quercetin. Customer Appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of each month. Visit vitalityhealthfoods.ca.
Vimy and Donnan Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you know a student athlete interested in growing as a person and a player, attend the Vimy Open House on January 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. Beginner or experienced, this program nurtures and develops a student athlete's skills in a supportive environment. The Vimy Open House is a great opportunity for prospective student athletes entering grades 7 through 12 to see what Vimy Hockey and all of the other sport academies at Vimy have to offer. Visit vimyridge.epsv.ca for more info.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game. But out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously, and even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
You know, this year I can't decide what to work on for my New Year's resolution. See, my confidence, my appearance, or my general happiness.
Why not improve all three by finally addressing your hair loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. Receding hairlines and bald spots can chip away at your self-image, make you look older, and feel unattractive. Let's discuss your options for regaining a full natural head of hair and make this the year you get your mojo back. Book a free first consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team at Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.323. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan with you. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. And X is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. Oilers are in Boston. It'll be Stu Skinner and Jeremy Swayman in between the pipes for their respective teams. And we get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They are your underground infrastructure specialists. And the good news about them, they have much more efficiency, much better hands than Turan Sandwith had on the ice. They have much more efficiency in underground. TR's, he's nodding his head. He knows. Good worker, not necessarily the softest hands. ATR could use some ivory.
Good on the breakout. For some reason, he could snap that puck on your stick on the breakout, get in the other end, and it is a ticking time bomb. It's a grenade. Sandman was so good at breaking out, and then you'd wonder, like, did you lose hands just 100 feet later? Like, what happened? But he's a big guy, didn't have necessarily a deadly shot or anything, but was a very effective D. You just didn't want to go down his side. He'd fight anybody. He'd hit anybody. He would command a presence out there on the ice, but it certainly wasn't in front of the net.
Mark Spector joining us from Boston. Spec, how you doing?
Doing great, boys. What's going on?
Well, you know what? It kind of interested here. The Oilers on this middle of a 4-game road trip. They're in Boston taking on the Bruins, who have lost 4 in a row. They're 27th in offense. Spec. They're hoping to win low-scoring games. Like tonight's one of those games, if you hear the Oilers and say, man, if we can score 3, we probably got a pretty good chance to win. Josh Brown will get in the lineup. The Bruins are a heavy team, and I think it's probably situational more than anything else. But what do you expect from Brown? And is he going to Is he going to be like Stetcher, where he's playing half with Emberson and half with Nurse? What are you expecting tonight?
Yeah, I think the same deployment. I think he's, they're going to tell us he's starting with Nurse, but if the first matchup comes out that Paul Coffey doesn't like, it's going to be Nurse playing with Kulak. So, that thing's been the most fluid part of the Oilers team. They've been moving their guys all over the place, but he'll play. I think guys like Edmonton's not a physical team. And I think they wish they wouldn't mind having a little more physicality, and they're not the biggest team. They wouldn't mind having a little more size. And I think it's time to find out if Josh Brown is going to be the answer to some of that down the road. Like, is he going to be able to play for you as a 6 or 7 or whatever down the stretch? Or do you need to go out and find somebody in that mold? So it's time now on January 7th to give this guy a game or two and figure out what you got.
Yeah, like I think I know what I have, if I'm being honest here. He comes in, he can be a situational guy, but Josh Brown is not going to be an option for me down the stretch in Edmonton.
Well, okay, like I respect that, and I'm not sure I even disagree with you. But let's say this: somebody signed this guy to a 3-year deal, thinking that he would be a 6 or 7 for the Edmonton Oilers. He was supposed to be ahead of Stetcher, boys, right? And maybe ahead of Emberson. So you and I and Terry, maybe we got him slotted now, but there's somebody in the Oilers who wants to see if they were right about this guy, and maybe he can play ahead of somebody. And I think they're going to try to find that out, one more kick at the cat before they say, okay, I guess I was wrong on this, or, I was right. See?
Yeah, I think it's a case, honestly, Spec. When I look at cap-wise, he got recalled because they're playing, basically 8 straight road games. And you're flying all over the place, and maybe guys get necked up. But I think we'll see January 19th or 20th, whatever it is, he'll be sent back down to the minors, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Hey, he's getting one-way money. He's getting $1 million to be in the minors. It's unreal for him. I know it's tough because his family lives in Edmonton right now, which isn't ideal. But it just the guys, the organization guys who signed him, I think there are some people that were like, hey, I remember Josh Brown in junior, and he was pretty good. But, man, you look at his numbers in Arizona, you look at his numbers in Edmonton, Spec. Like, there's no numbers that show other than his size, and he can be physical, but then he's tough. But he's not going to help you move the puck very often.
Well, okay. I mean, again, I don't think I disagree with any of that, but somebody believed in this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody believed in this guy. And that's somebody, I'm going to say Jeff Jackson's the guy. Still has got a pretty powerful hand around this organization. So you're free to give up on that player. I don't know where I am with him. It's, he's a 6'7" defenseman. It's not a big deal for me, but I'm just here to tell you that somebody believes here.
Yeah, we'll see. TR
Spec, I didn't read the article, but I wanted to, but you posted on Twitter about Kasperi Kapanen. He says is it a perfect fit? Are you saying that? Did he say that? And why would Edmonton be the perfect fit? Other than, I get that he said it's the best team he's ever played on, but why a perfect fit?
Well, I don't know if, I don't know if we use the word perfect fit. Did he? Did he use it? I didn't use it.
He did, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Listen, he did find, to the credit of everyone involved here, his first and best asset is his foot speed. And he somehow found a Stanley Cup contender that was sorely lacking in foot speed that really needs his. So that part's a perfect fit. He's big and he can kill penalties, and he seems willing to be a bottom 6 guy. And the Oilers need decent size and speed down there big time. So, I mean, that part's a pretty good fit. The word perfect, is anything ever perfect? I'm not sure about that. But there's a spot for him here, isn't there, boys? I think he's been
I was curious. I mean, he's played on 4 teams. He's seen a lot. He's sometimes, he's been around a lot longer than I really thought when I looked at the stats. And I was curious. I agree with you, though. I think speed's huge. And it just being willing to play in the bottom 6 nowadays when you've got a little bit of experience. And that's also something that can be a bit unique and rare. So I do. I love the fit. Again, perfect. We're just talking semantics. We're just talking semantics.
I think guys like in Edmonton's we're gonna see a lot of this. I think there's a bunch of older guys around this team that want to come here because they want to win. Jeff Skinner comes here because he wants to win. He's in the bottom 6. He's probably staying there, but I think he's trying to win something. He's never won. Corey Perry's here for one reason. Henrique signs here for one reason. Kasperi Kapanen said to me yesterday, he says, hey, I'll play wherever they want me to play. I'm at the point in my career. In fact, what he said was, it's a little bit about leaving a legacy. Like, you want to leave something behind in your career that's memorable, and that's winning. So, guys will take a little less money, a little less role, a lot less power play time to come here and try to win something. And as long as you don't get too old, I don't mind that.
Mark Spector joins us, Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan. Spec, the Bruins are an interesting lot. I looked it up. I was doing some research on them for my article today, and the winningest team in the regular season in all of the 2000s, and even since they won their last cup in 2011, from 2012 till now, they've got the most wins. Like, it's been 25 years of them being a very successful franchise in regular season wins. I know that they probably wish they had more cups, but there's a little bit of luck involved. But they've been there all the time. Now, Chara retired, Bergeron retired, Krejci retired. Like, that happens. Guys are going to age out. And, you're looking at Boston now, and all of a sudden, even with Pastrnak, they're like 27th in offense. Like, they can't score goals. Elias Lindholm has been a dud. He has points in 15 of 42 games for the Bruins this year. Right? 15 now, because he has a few multi-point games. But 15 games out of 42, the guy's got a point. They're paying him almost 8 sheets a year. Like, that's not worked out so far for them. When I look at this Boston team, like, they're kind of teetering on the brink here, Spec. There's half a season to go, and suddenly Montreal's in the rearview mirror, and Ottawa's in the rearview mirror, and the Bruins have played the most games in the league. Like, I kind of wonder, if I don't know if you talked to anybody around that team or what you're talking to the scribes there, is the heat starting to rise Boston a little bit?
Yeah, listen, I think everybody can see a team on the back side of the mountain, right? You don't get to be good forever. It's not unlike Pittsburgh. You just can't always win. It's hard to stay there. Give the Bruins credit, right? They stayed there longer than most. If they have any regrets, to me, guys, if they have any regrets, they needed a second cup, and it probably should have come against St. Louis, and they lost that series, right? Losing to Chicago in, what were we, 13? Hey, that Chicago team won 3 cups. They were mighty, mighty good. Fair enough. But all of the winning Boston did. They only got 1 Stanley Cup, 2011 against Vancouver. And now, listen, everything you say is right there, man. They also, guys, they find themselves in a division. I know these projects have lasted a long time, and they haven't, they're not like rocket ships coming up from the bottom of the division, but as they sort of find their way down the backside of the mountain, they're looking at Montreal. They're looking at Ottawa. They're looking, Buffalo, who knows if they ever get it. They're looking at Detroit. Like, there's 4 teams in their division that haven't had any success for 20 years, and it's their turn now. So, yeah, I would think those teams are going to start to munch on the Bruins' success level. I see it going down in Boston here, boys, don't you?
Yeah, I think I do for sure. And it's hard to, but they've had a lot of success for a long time, so I give them tons of credit. But it does seem, I don't know if it's going to go down that far that fast for them, because David Pastrnak is not old by any stretch of the imagination. Now Brad Marchand's getting a little bit older, but they've got some guys coming. Charlie McAvoy's an excellent defenseman. You got Swayman, so I don't see them like cake crushing down. But what they're gonna have to try to do here, which is hard, is do what Washington's done. And Washington is the poster boy for how to retool on the fly. Got a little bit lucky with LTIR, no question, Backstrom and Oshie, but look at their drafting and then look at some of the moves and acquisitions they made. And that's, I don't know if I see that from Boston. That's my concern. Is Sweeney the guy to do it? That's my question.
Yeah, that's, a lot of people around here are asking the same question. I'm going to say, Jay, look, Washington's a huge success story right now. They're a real outlier. Name me a second Washington, right?
Yeah,
it's
hard.
What they've done is, I'm totally giving them credit, but things like Pierre-Luc Dubois being a dog everywhere he's been and showing up there and playing really good, do we give Washington credit for that? I guess we do. They're certainly the beneficiary, but I'm watching these teams rebuild. I'm watching these teams who sit at the bottom, like Chicago and Detroit and Montreal and Ottawa and Buffalo. And you're telling me that Boston's going to just spend a couple of quick years out of the playoffs and be a powerhouse again? I think the sport is cyclical, boys, and Boston's had a long, good run here, and we're going to be talking this way about the Oilers one day. Not one day soon, but one day. You spend your time at the top, you damn well better win a cup or two, because your time at the bottom's coming.
Good point.
TR?
I'm good.
Come on, TR, you can do better than that. Let's go.
I got
he asked both questions I was going to ask you.
Last one on. Now,
did you play in Boston? Did you play games in this building?
I played the last game ever played in Boston Garden.
Oh, did you?
It was exhibition. If you can believe, I didn't play much, and I have that memory. But I didn't realize till we left. They had a big ceremony, like everybody. Yeah, it was the last game ever. Why it was exhibition, I have no idea, but it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now was that the that wasn't the night? Did they bring out like all the greats of Boston that night?
Yeah, it was a huge ceremony. I wasn't even going to play. We myself and Brad Brown were practicing. We were Black Aces, and they said get on the plane. We're going down. I think a bunch of us, even guys, warmed up that didn't play, and it was a big event. I'm very, very surprised, but I know I'm not wrong in that it was exhibition because I was there.
Now, Spec, Hyman and Skinner actually played together in minor hockey.
Yes, they did.
Years, and now they're reunited. I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Both of us expect that Zach Hyman's going to be back with McDavid.
Yes, I do.
At some point soon. But if Skinner gets on a run at all, let's just say scores 3 and 5 or something, does he get a Connor Brown addition with McDavid?
I don't know. I mean, it's a fair question. I don't know. Like, I think I'll put it this way. The conversation at some point is going to happen with McDavid. Connor spent a lot of time with Connor Brown in his life in Erie. They're friends. He likes the way Connor Brown plays. I would want to have, we got to get McDavid in this conversation and say, hey, how you like playing with Jeff Skinner? Because the game that I've seen Jeff Skinner play, it does not mesh as a line mate with the game I see Connor McDavid play. Don't you agree with me on that?
Well, I think he's better chance he could have success with McDavid than he would with Draisaitl. He's not a forechecker. McDavid's more of a forechecker than Draisaitl is, right? So I think if he has any hope, and you're probably right, but the only guy he could play with, I don't see any fit at all with him and Draisaitl. There's maybe a chance it's with McDavid if he just moves the puck quick and gets it to him and then finds some openings. Right?
I think that's where Skinner has to go. Like, Skinner's got a boatload of skill. He should be able to learn to change his game. But when you play with McDavid or Draisaitl, you got to get the puck and you got to give it to him. You don't get to carry it through the neutral zone, right? Like, you just don't. That's not, McDavid doesn't want that guy in his line who's carrying the puck. And you better move it quick. And Skinner doesn't move it quick, and he likes to skate with it. So, I don't know, looking back, anyone who scouted Skinner and watched him play, I'm surprised they thought he would be a fit on Draisaitl's left wing, because you make the point. He is the furthest thing from a fit with Leon Draisaitl that I could imagine.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. Spec, enjoy the game tonight. What's the pregame meal in Boston? You getting like chowder soup? What are you getting?
I don't know. You know what? I'm going to be surprised when I get there. It's freezing here, though. It's like colder than Edmonton. Okay, and I'm a Canadian saying this. It's colder than
windy cold.
Oh my God! It's about minus, let's say 6 or 7, and the wind's blowing at about 40 miles an hour. I'll bet you the wind chill's minus 20.
Wow. Do you have to stop in another pub today just to warm up?
Yeah, there's one halfway to the rink that I'm going to have to stop in before I go there. You can't wear a toque or you'll mess up your salad, right?
Oh, well, that's not a problem with you, buddy. Like, just put in a little dippity-doo and away you go. There's not much moon up there.
Dippity-doo.
All right, boys.
Enjoy the game.
See you, buddy.
That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. And we got to get into that story more. You played the last game in Beantown, which is because that was like that old barn, man. Like, that was the smaller rink. Like, remember like them and the Odd in Buffalo, right? They had the yellow net, the ice in the yellow net in Buffalo. But those old rinks are just different now. Like, the dimensions were actually smaller. Like, and I kind of like that. It's a unique thing. I know someone said, come on, you can't have different dimensions. I guess I get it. But it was a very unique part of Buffalo and Boston, and they had the smaller barn.
Loved it. And you're right. They did. They had a huge ceremony. But it's funny because I came in drafted in 95, right? And then I played exhibition right away. So and they waited. Jacques Demers waited until later in the exhibition to play me because he knew I loved the Canadians and he wanted me to get a game in the Forum. So I played in the Forum, and then the next year, same reason. It was not same reason, but I played in Maple Leaf Gardens, and that ended up shutting down. And then Boston Garden, like I played in all three, and like within a 2-year span, they were all gone. I'm again, my stats don't exactly come at you with huge numbers statistically, but I did have some cool things happen as just a hockey fan myself. That was really cool. I remember all three experiences being awesome.
Well, yeah, you're playing in some of like the iconic buildings that I'm not sure what like you got MSG still, right? And they've had all of the makeovers, but Chicago Stadium's now gone, and the new rinks are nice, but they're not like the old ones, right? Like they're a lot bigger, a lot more cavernous. Like I remember going to the Forum and going to I went to Toronto specifically, and I got to the minute the doors were open. I think it was like at 90 minutes. I'd never been in. I walked all around. I remember in our seats sitting down, and people will be like blown away by it. But in the one end in old Maple Leaf Gardens, you had the rink and then the net's there, and you'd go straight up, and the first OTR was like right above the net in the second level, no mesh. I'm just like, what the hell is happening? Like pucks flying up there. It was just you had to be on your game. It's almost like you're sitting down the third baseline, except you're right above it. Like you don't have any time to react up there. It was crazy that people didn't get hurt when you think back about it, because now I know that maybe guys weren't blocking his shots and getting sticks and lanes as much as they do now, but still there had to be a few pucks flying up there, and you had to be on high alert.
Oh yeah, man. Think about it. Like I think because the equipment's better and everything now, that we just kind of it's kind of easy to like wash out those memories. But Al McGinnis was back there shooting it, and I don't know why he popped into my head. He's one of the fastest players I've ever seen take a shot like right in front of me live. But there was all kinds of pucks going up there, and Maple Leaf Gardens stands out to me more than I'll never ever forget everything about Montreal Forum, because I went there in Pee Wee. It was seeing your first NHL game and all of that stuff. And I was a huge fan. And then I played that game in there, and there's so much, but it really did. I could not believe with my own eyes the elevation, the slant, the scale of it, the slope. It was crazy in Maple Leaf Gardens. I still can't. It almost coming down the stairs when you were in the top. You're almost scared of heights. I am scared of height, but I was wary about it. Because if you stumbled, you're going straight down. It's wild. I don't even think those seats would pass as safety regulations now.
Oh, probably not. Like it would now. Although the second deck, and think about the people who sit in the second deck in Edmonton right now at the new rink, it's pretty steep. Yeah. But even that's not steep enough, and it was like 30 rows, right?
And
it was.
And Jason, can you remember the glass didn't come all the way up?
No.
Right? I don't know about every rink. I think every rink was the same. Like Leaf Gardens, I remember high-fiving my buddies in warm-up that flew up from O'Donnell to see me play, easily. Not doing it easily. Boys, it was like that. The glass was only about 3 feet from the off the boards, man. It was crazy. Yeah. It was like they were trying to make it low,
Well, the original days, they didn't even have glass, right? The fans, if you watch the old barn,
didn't even have any.
Now it's changed. So Maple Leaf Gardens in the Forum. I never got to go to Boston Gardens, and Chicago's the one I always wanted to go to just because I watch it on TV, and I've been to the new stadium, and it's great. It's still really loud, but the old Chicago Stadium, and when they would play the anthem, and I just remember being on TV, and you'd be like, oh my God, this sounds unbelievable. And you talk to every player who played in there, and they said it was just the acoustics, the best barn to play in. So there's something about those old rinks. You don't necessarily have the same now. They're big and they're nice, and they got all the venues, and they got some wider seats, and all of the other stuff. But if you're going there just for a fan perspective, be closer to the game, I wish you could take that and just build its bowl, and then build out behind it. And that's where, if you want to leave and go and sit in your restaurants and be all poshy, away you go. But I'd love to see somebody go back to that, because it'd be fantastic.
You could have the best of both worlds, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably won't, but it would be great. We'll come back with 5 questions or more. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Are you watching the interest rates these days? Of course you are. Paying less interest leaves money in your pocket. That's why St. Albert Dodge is happy to tell you that right now they have 0% financing on virtually all new 2024 models. Hundreds to choose from: Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer, Dodge Durango, and Hornet, Ram 1500, 2500, 3500, all with 0% financing. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
It's Customer Appreciation Day at Vitality Health Foods. Take 25% off select NACA products like NACA Platinum Nattokinase for heart health, NACA Nutri Probiotic for digestion, and the antioxidant NACA Platinum Quercetin. Customer Appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of each month. Visit vitalityhealthfoods.ca.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Just when the weather is freezing your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak, and chicken paninis. Topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle. Grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
A Bedtime Story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort, legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy, bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Epcor. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, making them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community league or city rink that is safe for you, your family, and friends. Think twice and stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.350, Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley with you. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where you got great savings through to the end of the week. You can get up to $1,000 off of sectionals, 25% off kitchen and furniture, appliances, and more at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Oilers-Bruins just over an hour away. Who's winning? What's the score? And who will be your pick for first star of the game?
I'm going to say 5-1 Oil. Hyman, first star, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Ooh.
It's a spicy meatball, but yeah, I'm going to go with it.
It's very spicy. I'm gonna say, well, McDavid doesn't have a point in 2 games. Only 5 times in his seven times in his career has he gone 3 games without a point. So I think McDavid is due. So I'm going to go with 97 as the first star, but Draisaitl gets another game winner, his 10th of the season.
All right, question number 2. Right now, the Boston Bruins 3 points up on the Lightning in their division, but 5 games in hand for Tampa. So where do you think the Boston Bruins will finish the season in the Atlantic?
Well, at the start of the season, I picked them to miss the playoffs, so I'm going to stick with that. And I will say that they are 5th in the division. Might even be 6th, but I'll say 5th.
I'm going to say 6th. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think they're going to have a worse second half than first.
All right, question number 3. Right now, Canadiens defenseman Lane Hutson leads all rookies in scoring. If we were talking Rookie of the Year power rankings, what would your list be 1 through 3?
This is tough because I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them, but I'm going to go Hudson first. After that, these guys are a flip of a coin, but Hudson, and I'm not just saying that as a Montreal Canadian fan. I just think he's pretty dynamic. He's as are the other 2, but if he might get 70 points as a D-man to come into the league. I think that's pretty outstanding. I love watching the other 2 play, especially Celebrini, but I'm going to go with Hudson for now.
I have Macklin Celebrini. He's played 10 fewer games, got 13 goals. I just love his overall game more. So I'm going to go with Celebrini first. I'll have Michkov and then Lane Hudson.
Question number 4. Tyreek Hill seemingly wants out of Miami. Is there a team you'd like to see the speedster play for next season if it's not with the Dolphins?
Oh, that's a good question. Got a pretty big salary, so I would be interested. Looking at a team who's got a good quarterback who maybe needs a speedster. How about I'll go Green Bay.
After choosing not to go back to Kansas City, going to Miami, not even playing that well, and calling out the team, if you want to say that, the other day, whatever he said, he wants to be a contender. If you want to be a contender, don't leave in the first place. So my answer is that where does he play? I hope wherever he fails, wherever the Jets, wherever the best chance is for him to fail, that's where I want him to go.
I like it. Final question for you guys. Nicolas Cage turns 61 years old today. He's got quite the catalog of movies. What is your favorite piece of work from Nicolas Cage?
Okay, well, you know what? If you really, really wanted to get down to the acting and the, oh my God, I'm blown away, Leaving Las Vegas. But I only saw that movie once when it came out in the 90s, and I don't want to watch it again. It's too depressing. But I thought that was phenomenal. He came out, outside of that, I love The Rock for pure popcorn entertainment. Sean Connery, Ed Harris, and Nick Cage, come on. But my favorite, especially, it might be recency bias, but he came out with a movie a couple of years ago, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It's a tongue-in-cheek movie. It's kind of playing himself, but I thought it was phenomenally unique and interesting.
I'm going Leaving Las Vegas. I thought he was remarkable in that movie. He really was. And him and Elizabeth Shue together, yeah, it was fantastic. Honestly, I think that was his best role. He played it fantastic.
Yeah, but by quite a bit too, I think. Yes. Like that was moving, that picture. Goosebumps 4 or 5 times during, not just at the final credits, just like, whoa, like take your breath away, right?
And the thing was, it was so realistic. When you, if anybody out there has dealt with somebody who struggles with alcoholism, that's what you're watching that, and you're just like this is painful to watch because it's so real.
Yeah, they didn't quickly pass over any of the real visceral stuff that goes on with that, right? And I think most of us do have someone we know like that, at least one, and you're like, whoa, it really grabs you.
Cons, you got one?
Yeah, absolutely. Gone in 60 Seconds. That's one of my favorite ones. Con Air's up there as well, but Gone in 60 Seconds. Yeah.
Oh, his hair in Con Air is the classic.
Inspiration for my first ever email. Conair103 at hotmail.com.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I like it. Awesome. So you're taking the Oilers to win tonight, TR, if you're going a big night for Zach Hyman, I'm assuming.
I am. I've already done so.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we will chat on you Thursday. We'll have a little pregame as the Oilers are in Pittsburgh. We'll be hearing some TR. You must have a Crosby or a Malkin story, so maybe we'll talk about that.
I've got quite a few. Maybe we'll save that for TR's Tales on Thursday.
Yes, we will do that on Thursday. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Edmonton, and see you guys soon.
When we come back, we'll get to the pregame show. Andrew Walker will join us and more here on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice, where you get rid of those wintertime blues and enjoy one of their warm and savory grilled fresh food options that are made in-house daily with the finest ingredients. You can visit Booster Juice today or download the Boosters Reward app and order your grilled fresh food.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Game day, the Oilers in Boston take on the Bruins. Puck drop just after 5. We got pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Jason Gregor. Coming up next, elsewhere, Sens and Wings. Rangers host the Stars, Jackets in Pittsburgh. Lightning hosting the Hurricanes. Leafs battle the Flyers. Jets host the Preds, and the Flames taking on the Ducks in the association tonight. Warriors in Heat, Celtics, Nuggets. The Jazz host the Hawks. Lakers take on the Mavericks. Suns in Charlotte. And the Wizards taking on the Rockets. PWHL, New York battles Ottawa. That gets going just after 5 o'clock. And in the AJ Drayton Valley in Olds to take on the Grizzlies. That one gets going at 7 o'clock. Coming up next year on Sports 1440 is pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Jason Gregor. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Mr. Ruther makes a prank phone call.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello there. Is your faucet running?
Yeah, actually it is. I have this really annoying drip.
Oh, you'll want to check for mineral buildup or corrosion. Otherwise, it's likely a defective gasket or O-ring. I got him good.
Mr. Reuter, you're the worst at this.
For lousy punchlines and immaculate water lines, trust one plumber, Mr. Reuter.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously... The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
It's Customer Appreciation Day at Vitality Health Foods. Take 25% off select NACA products like NACA Platinum Nattokinase for heart health, NACA Nutri Probiotic for digestion, and the antioxidant NACA Platinum Quercetin. Customer Appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of each month. Visit vitalityhealthfoods.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Sports 1440 presents the Cross Mitsubishi Pregame Show, powered by Cross Mitsubishi at 34th Avenue and 96th Street. They offer a huge selection of new and used vehicles. Check them out today. Now,
here's your pregame host, Andrew Walker.
Welcome, everyone, to the pregame show. Jason Gregor, Andrew Walker here on Sports 1440. The Oilers looking to continue their dominance in Boston, where they are 7-1 in the McDavid and Draisaitl era. They've won their last 3 against Boston. The Bruins come in 0-3-1 in their last 4 games. They just lost in overtime to the Islanders. Meanwhile, the Oilers, of course, winners of the last 2. The Oilers' second best record in the NHL since November 1st. Walks, how you doing?
Good, buddy. I enjoyed listening to you today. I love these early games. Love to. Well, I was going to say share the studio with you, but you're on location at a big name sponsor right here. So.
Yeah, the Velvet Dungeon right in my basement.
Yeah.
So, but I'll be back in studio tomorrow, so it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I will say though, I was a little, and I'm not that woke of a guy, but I was a little disappointed in your messaging driving in today. I got to say, so you had TR on, and he came on, and he was a little obviously like morose. He was having a tough time, and he shared with you that his cat was missing. And I don't know, man. I didn't think you were that sympathetic. I thought you just kind of glossed over it. And for all us, I know dogs are great. I love dogs too. But for us cat people, I thought that was just really hurtful. And that's a tough day for him, man. That cat is not good. It's not a good situation.
Yeah, well, 10 year, I could tell though, so that's why I was just like, we got to get off of this, or a TR might start crying on the air. So I don't think he wanted that. So
I don't know. It just reeked of a lack of compassion to me. I just don't know.
Hey, you know what? We had cats at the farm. Fluffy was a great cat, but
farm cats you can't get too attached. That's how it is.
Well, no, she was a good mouser, but she would stay in the house too. She was one of the rare. But we had lots of cats that were there. Their sole purpose, they like to hang, they like to free range. And then they would kill all the mice.
Yeah,
so
that's
it was
good.
A good mix.
We have 2 cats, and this sounds a little crazy actually, but our one cat is we took him over to my parents, so their grandparents, I suppose, and they get a little more freedom there. It's more room, right? They get to go outside on the deck and things like that. And then when they come home, they get depressed because we're still condo people for a little while, right? And so they were kind of morose. So I YouTubed and I Googled, and we have this like a pretty big TV. It's like 75 inches. And I put on these cat videos, and you can watch like birds and squirrels and because it's just someone's, basically fixing a camera on the park. And they loved it. They've been watching these made for cat bird videos for like the last 2 days. God. And now they're no longer depressed. So
that is unreal. Now, do you try to take your cats on a walk? Have you ever tried to walk your cat?
So we do. It's just yes and no. I mean, we have harnesses, and we're just been a little lazy, and it's winter, but they really, really want to go outside. So
do they actually? Are they good on the harness?
Yeah.
Really?
The first time was a little difficult
rare.
because it's constricting. Like they don't like their little Christmas sweaters either. But then they
sounds like a little cat abuse is going on.
once they're used to it, they just want to be outside, and they do that little clicking thing at birds, and it's great. But prayers up for Fluffy or whoever.
We'll find out on Thursday if we might have to have a live wake on the show. I don't know if that'll be good. Because I know people get connected to their pets. I get it, man. Like I totally understand it. So I could tell TR was like 10 years of this cat, and cat just got sick, and now he's gone. He's feeling like the cat abandoned, or he abandoned the cat. So I'll have to. I did send him a note afterwards. Say, hey, buddy, I hope you find your cat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. So So I won't try to cancel you then. I think.
Like I didn't. Hey, I still remember my first introduction to cat was probably when I was 8, and so we had on our farm, we had our driveway, and right beside our driveway was a lease road that would go back down, and I must have been, I don't know. It's one of my first memories of our cat, and we had a white. She was probably about a year old. I don't remember her name right now. I wasn't that connected to her, obviously.
No, you guys are close.
As I'm wheeling on my bike down the lease road, all of a sudden I come upon the cat and then being ran over by somebody. And I just remember because one of its eyes was really bugged out. And that's, I was just like, oh, but as a farm kid, you're just like, you know what? Hey, cats live, cats die, cows live, cows die. That's just kind of how it goes.
No, that is correct. Oilers-Bruins.
But a dog was different.
Oilers-Bruins at 5, and then I'll get out of here, and then you'll go from from 5 to 6 to wrap up the Gregor Show, the pregame show, by the way, Cross Mitsubishi. Visit Cross Mitsubishi today. Drive your ambition. 9605 34th Ave, crossmitsubishi.ca. I do have a couple things I want to get into it with you because I know, listen, I love talking about hockey. I love talking about the Oilers. I know you love the little soliloquies and off topic. So I, in addition to canceling you for cat hatred, stop cat hate, I got two other things.
Sure.
So I was running a little behind today. I was starving, so I had dinner down below the studio here in the food court, and I was just like, what do the kids say? Your faith in humanity has been restored. So I go to a establishment, and you know, I'm putting in the, you know, the debit number or whatever, and to tap the card, and I got a tip option, and the tip option, I loved this. It made my day. 3%, 5%, or 8%. How good is that?
Well, you know what? It's smart because you actually might tip them now for that percent, because the other ones is like 18, 22, 25. You're like, dude, I just ordered a sub.
I know.
Like,
and it's a food court.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sitting down. I'm not getting any service. Like,
yeah.
I find we've jumped the shark on some places asking for a tip, like for everything. I'm like, whoa. Right? If I sit down at a restaurant and you come and you fill my glass up, you take more, you do all these sorts of things, okay. But if you just sit there and, you know what? I don't care. You're at McDonald's and all of a sudden they're like, oh, you want a tip option? I'm like, and you know what? When I go to McDonald's, I don't have a tip option. So I'm like, I like it because I think we're just enough's enough. You have to tip everything for everybody, for God's sakes. It's like, do we tip a teacher? Does a teacher at the end of the year come in and have a like, hey, you know what? I taught your kid all year. Like, that's somebody who probably should get a tip.
Yes. Yeah. They should have a little iPad right on the desk.
Could you imagine?
Well, it used to be, you know what you used to back in your day, you know what you used to do with the teacher? You give him a nice shiny apple, right? Like that was the thing.
Yeah, no, I do give. I know that our son's teacher will give him like an end of the year gift, like usually a gift card or something like that.
I just have never seen that before. Like a tip option, I get it, but 3%, 5%, and 8%, like it's
right
a good little
alley.
Yeah, it's a good little trick because I went like straight up to 8%, obviously, right?
Obviously,
but,
yeah.
Yeah.
Big tipper.
See, you know, when we were living in Europe, so you know, Switzerland is mind-numbingly expensive. Like it's like they don't. It's like the old Seinfeld bit. You know, they know what things cost everywhere else in the world. However, as expensive as things were, the price was the price. No tax, no tip, and that makes a big difference. Like when you're sitting in a restaurant, or you know, so it was still expensive, but you know, when you think of, okay, that's technically it's 25 to 30% cheaper. It made things a little bit more palatable.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. And here's my other thing I wanted to bring up to you. This is not a rip on her. I think it's I just think it's an interesting observation. I'm like, when's the last time a new bar or restaurant opened and it was on the news? Like this is how the rich stay rich. So Connor McDavid's wife's opening a bar. I think you saw that, or a cocktail room or whatever it is. And I don't like, they could serve warm urine. It's going to be a huge hit because of who she is. Like, it's how the rich stay rich. I'm not knocking it. I just think it's interesting.
Well, if people will go there once if they don't have a good time. I can tell you, the bar industry, people that have had success, that is a tough industry. And you to run a bar is a different world, man. I've talked to people who have done it. And I've seen lots
that
try,
is correct. Yeah,
right. And there's
but
lots
talk about getting out of the gates quick.
Yeah, no, that's an advantage.
You know, you're not paying for advertising. Like everyone's dying to advertise for you, right?
Yeah, no, good for her.
Yeah. So yeah, drinks next week. I don't know when they open.
Is it a sports bar?
No, it's like I just saw it on Instagram today, and then I heard it on the radio. Like they're opening a bar, and you're getting free advertising. But it's it's Lauren, and it's called I can't remember what it's called, but it's in that brick building downtown, kind of by Ruth's Chris, whatever it's called.
Right on the corner.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that specific building, but it's in that area. So it'll be you know, a brick facade, and it'll be fancy cocktails. I think I haven't read a whole lot about it, but I just think it's interesting because if you and I opened a bar, like no one, like we're paying for advertising, right? So
yeah, I ain't. My buddies who ran bars, I'd let them open a bar. I would never do it.
Yeah,
I don't have the expertise.
That's why On the Rocks is there. You know?
Hey, dude, I can. You know what I'm good at? I'm good at going to the bar, not running the bar.
Yeah. All right, but I want to give people their first chance on the text line right now. Let's play River Cree over under. I got a good one today. Real easy. Give us a text 1-833-401-1440 for the River Cree Resort and Casino. We'll give you a proposition. You just say over or under, and if you're right, you go in the mix for the easiest $100 you'll ever win to the River Cree Resort and Casino, where you can catch all your favorite sports, including UFC and boxing, live on the big screens at Tap 25 and in the Center Bar. Visit rivercreeresort.com. So it feels like the last number of times, you touched on it, but the Oilers kind of own the Bruins in Boston. But all these games always feel close. They always come down to it. Last year, I think Draisaitl scored late to tie it. This year, they came from behind in the third to win at home. This is going back a couple of years. The last Bruins game I went to, I believe it was Matt Grzelcyk scored with like up 2.5 to go. So these games always come down to it. There's always some late heroics, some late drama. So here's your over-under. Will there be a goal of any kind? So it could be an empty netter. It doesn't have to be a dramatic one. Will there be a goal in the last 5 minutes of regulation or an OT winner? Shootout doesn't count, but last 5 minutes of regulation or overtime, will there be a goal in that span? So text us yes or no, over or under, to 1-833-401-1440. That is your query for today.
Yeah, I would take that all day long because somebody's. I think it'll be a close game with Edmonton. I have Edmonton scoring. All of a sudden, they're scoring empty netters. They couldn't score an empty netter to save their life early in the season, right? Like they'd have games where they had an empty net for 2.5 minutes and they weren't scoring.
Tell me about it.
But now all of a sudden, Draisaitl's like, hey, if I want to win it, and I want to win the scoring title, McKinnon's already got, I think it's 12 points or something like that into empty netters. So he's like, hey, there's no pitchers on the score sheet. Well, some people will talk about it. He's like, I wouldn't care. Like you can score 50 empty netters, still 50 goals.
Yeah. So I've had a long running bet. This is like 4 years now, actually, with a good buddy of mine. We were just, getting into it over beers one day and talking hockey and we were talking about Ovechkin and would he or would he not break Gretzky's record? And to be fair, this was like, it was a little before everyone really started to talk about it. And I said, I did the math and I was like, man, this guy's absolutely doing it. And he was adamant that he would not. So we bet it's been 4 years running or 5 years running. We bet a round of golf anywhere in North America. Winner decides that I have Ovi breaking the record, which he obviously now he's going to, and he knows it. And he has him not surpassing Gretzky. But my favorite thing is when Ovi scores an empty netter. It just kills this guy. And he's like, empty netters shouldn't count. I'm like, listen, I'm sure Wayne had a few empty netters in his day. Like that's, I remember covering Jerome McGinley in Calgary and he would get his 30 every year. But God, there was not an empty net, Greg's, that guy didn't like. Like, I'll tell you that. But I think it's the same for all good goal scorers, right? Like Kucherov loves his empty netters too. It's one of those things.
Well, hey, first of all, you got to be on the ice. Number one, you got to be on the ice. And now their teams pull their goalie with 3 minutes left in games.
Yes, that's another. And here's another wrinkle. It used to be just an awful play if you ever ice the puck, right? And with all the hockey you watch the same as me. That's like not a thing anymore. Like there's a time and a place for draw weight, but guys will fire it at that empty net almost any situation because the percentages, the math of it's like going for it on fourth down. It's always worth it to just try to end the game. Like we don't care about the icing, end the game. It's not viewed as selfish anymore.
No, not at all. It's totally changed. And it makes sense. You look at the odds of what the chance of that being a goal or them scoring off of a face-off directly nowadays. So yeah, teams do it, and why not? I have no issue with it at all. So it's the evolution of the game. For sure. And I think for Draisaitl to, I like the fact that the last two games, I'm not trying to overpass because the Oilers would have 2-on-1 sometimes, or they'd look and wait and they're just like, no, let's just get this in and we end it. And whoever gets the points gets the points. If you have time to go give and go and both guys get points, great. But when you don't, like last game, Draisaitl was like, no, I'm just taking it in. I'm not going to risk a pass and let's go. So he has a chance to score 30 goals in the first 40 games for the second time in his career.
He is, I know Landon wanted to talk about this today, former Boston Bruin, actually, Landon Ferraro, he's going to join us in about 10 minutes. We live in the city, right? He does not. So I think that's interesting. When Draisaitl was carrying the Oilers early this season, when McDavid was out and nobody was scoring, right? Hyman didn't have a goal in whatever it was, 9 games, and Nuge wasn't doing anything. Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, you name it. We know, because they both have them, we know what a Hart Trophy winner looks like. And this isn't being biased. Like, if I had a vote, it's Leon. And Landon brought that up to me today when we were kind of going back and forth. He's outside of the market, and now he feels like he's getting his due. Like, there's some buzz around there. That's how good 29 has been.
Oh, yeah. To me, you're not paying attention. All it takes is a few seconds to look up, and you look at the goals. And I know people like, oh, he plays with McDavid. I'm like, no one ever says Rantanen or McKinnon play with each other, and they play with each other 90% of the time. I don't have a problem with that. That's how it goes. Yeah. And Draisaitl and McDavid do play together sometimes. If you look the last few years, it's about 30 to 35% on average of 5-on-5 throughout the whole course of a season. And, after every power play, like, why wouldn't you after every successful penalty kill? To me, it's great coaching. Hey, let's load up McDavid and Draisaitl, who have been sitting for 2 minutes because they're not on the penalty kill anymore. And let's try to get momentum right back on our team, or build on the momentum from the penalty kill. To me, it's outstanding coaching. And every coach around the league, because I'm a big believer, I wouldn't have my best guys on the penalty kill. What's the point of it? How do I ever get my bottom guys involved in the game if my best guys are on the power play and on the penalty kill? I thought it's the best decision Chris Knobloch has made, because now I'd rather play those guys 2 minutes on the power play than play them anytime in the penalty kill. Every player's built different, right? I imagine, there's the odd superstar player that, he needs a little bit of PK time to get engaged, or you play all, like, what the Panthers, you're not going to play Barkov on the PK, right? Sure.
Like, some guys are built like that. But yes, to your point, I agree. And for the Oilers, I mean, it's the single biggest reason that I think that Janmark and Connor Brown and, even a guy like Adam Henrique, like, man, it lets you get involved with the team. You feel important, and you are important. Like, they need guys like that. And if Brown and Janmark were sitting on the end of the bench while McDavid and Draisaitl kill penalties for this team specifically, you're right. That's a waste.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And Barkov is not as dominant on the power play, so it makes sense there. It's the old adage when people say, "Oh, he's a great two-way player." Yeah, because he's not dominant at one of them.
Yeah.
So.
Andrew Walker, Jason Gregor. It is the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show. Go to Cross Mitsubishi and drive your ambition. Let's take a look at the lineups, because they are a little different today for Nisku Ford. The pre-starting lineups are brought to you by Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Explore niskuford.ca today. So it's interesting. Now, confirm this. Just in case I'm not speaking out of turn, Brown is in tonight.
Yes.
Right?
Josh Brown is in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he replaces Spector. Is this just, a mechanism? We're going to hear from the head coach as well, but a mechanism just of, Boston, pretty big, pretty physical. There you got the Fredericks and the Brazos and the Zadorovs and, go down the list.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's also, they don't like to keep guys around the team that don't play too long. All right, so I look at, Pittsburgh's a smaller team, Chicago. This is the game that makes sense to play Brown. He gets in for a game, and then he'll probably sit out the next two on the road trip. And, Troy Stetcher's, he's been consistent in the lineup here. They got rid of Dermott, and there's been no rotation. They've been extremely healthy on the back end with those 6. So I think it's just, get Josh Brown in. And, Josh Brown, it's not like the gap between him and Stetcher is so massive that, he's a liability. They have different skill sets for sure. But you look at Boston's forwards group, they're pretty big. So I think they feel, hey, if there's a game to fit in, this is probably the game.
Yeah. And listen, they're going on the road too, right? Like they're going to spend the next, and they got that weird LA game back at home, but 6 of their next 7 are on the road. That's a lot of travel. You're not going to, chances are, knock on wood, you're not going to run out the same lineup, 7 games in a row here. You're not sleeping in your own bed. Like I said, lots of travel. So, keeping these guys fresh, that's going to be a big part of how they do. And I feel like, I know they played on the road this year, Greg's. This is like, it kind of feels like their real first extended stretch and test. They've had a lot of home games so far.
Well, yeah, they played the second fewest road games in the NHL. Only at 17. Only Dallas has played less. They played 16. So that'll obviously change here over the next 2 weeks. And now Edmonton does have the 5th best road points percentage in the NHL at 10-5-2. So when they've been on the road, they've actually been pretty good. And they've talked about in the past they like to be on the road. So here's an opportunity. You got Boston, who's they're not like a top 10 team. Pittsburgh's not a top 10 team. They're not chop liver. But these next 3 games are teams that if Edmonton shows up, their chances to win are pretty good.
Biggest win of the season came on the road. We might have differing opinions on what that was, but you know what the game was that I thought really got this team turned around this year?
The Minnesota 7-1?
No, they were already going by then. Ottawa, actually. If you remember, so they had that Eastern Canadian swing. They were no good in Montreal. And and then in Toronto, they had a lead. They played pretty well. They gassed it. Toronto won an OT, and of course, that was the night. And I know he takes it all the time, but that was the night people were really fired up, man, about Evan Bouchard. He was no good that game for sure, and people had at it. That was the whole post game show was Bouchard and Skinner, but mostly Bouchard. And then the next game, it really felt like they needed a win. And obviously it's a big swing game, right? They get a win and you're 500 on the trip and you salvage it. And 5 minutes in, Bouchard scored the goal of the year and the power play got going. Some guys that had scored in a while scored, and they have been really, really good ever since that game. Like that was the moment for me.
That's a good one. Well, no, they were bad in that Montreal game. Oof,
no good. Yeah. By the way, we'll finish the lineups for Nisku Ford. So Nuge, McDavid, Brown, Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson. That's another thing about Draisaitl. He's been playing with guys like Podkolzin and Kapanen all year, and that's no slight to those guys, but there's been no complaints. It's not, hey, I got to play with other all-stars. We're not the NBA building super teams here. He's playing with primarily third and fourth line guys, and he's still lighting it up. Skinner, Henrique, and Hyman, there is the change over in lines. Jeff Skinner's going to get a look on that line today. We'll talk about that. Then Perry, Janmark, and Kasperi Kapanen is your fourth line. All right, we'll take a break. Landon Ferraro on the other side. It is the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show on Sports 1440.
The pregame show is brought to you by Cross Mitsubishi. Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your ambition. 9605 34th Ave and crossmitsubishi.ca.
Touch base on the Weiss Johnson text line, 1-833-401-1440. Take advantage of free duct cleaning with any new Daikin furnace installation. Daikin, the best warranty in the industry. Visit wjheats.com.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the 2 best names in work, biker, and Western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwick, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site heavy equipment service? Rain or shine, Japa Service Department is here for you. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
It's the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show with Andrew Walker on Edmonton's only 24/7 sports station. This is Sports 1440.
Jason Gregor, Andrew Walker back with you. Pregame show. Oilers in Boston to take on the Bruins tonight. Skinner and Swayman. As you heard, Josh Brown will play his 4th game of the season tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. Also, Corey Perry is back in. Derek Ryan and Troy Stetcher come out. And Skinner, Jeff, that is, will play with Henrique and Zach Hyman. I'm kind of curious how long the Connor Brown experiment on that top line lasts. Obviously, I think Hyman is the long-term answer there. And, Brown played fine, but I think we all know where he slots in. And I'm curious to see just how much longer that lasts.
Yeah. You know what? I said the same thing last year as this team was going down the stretch. It's really easy to look at lines and but bump this guy up or give this guy a chance or why are they doing this? And, one of the advantages that a good record affords you and you're not having to sweat making the playoffs, this coaching staff did it last year, didn't they, Greg? It's like they just really want to see everybody with everybody. And when you get to the playoffs, you know that this combo could work or this combo was good in this situation. And, it's not every time you move up the lineup or down the lineup, it's not necessarily an indictment and it's not necessarily a reward. That's what a team is, right? And yeah, Connor Brown's getting a couple weeks here and he's been pretty good. And you're right, when push comes to shove, you probably want Zach Hyman and Connor McDavid playing together. But, can Zach Hyman play with Adam Henrique in a line that will probably be pretty good down low, right? So, there you go.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it. It's fine, but it's eventually, Connor Brown's going to go back there. Zach Hyman will go back there. But I think the one advantage they have is because if you look at the third line tonight, just on paper alone, so I crunched it up. So between Henrique, Brown, and Hyman, they have a total of 13 20-goal seasons, 7 30-goal seasons, 1 40-goal, and 1 50.
Skinner.
So they've had
Henrique,
20.
Yeah, Skinner, Henrique, and Hyman, right?
Yeah, they've had 22 seasons of 20-plus goals between the three of them. So if that's, in theory, your third line, because McDavid and Draisaitl can produce with anybody, you'd think, hey, we should have that line should be able to produce some offense today.
Well, I'm looking down this lineup. The only guy that has not had a 20-goal season is Podkolzin and Janmark.
Yeah, and Janmark had 19.
Right. And most of the guys have had 30-goal seasons, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right. Arvidsson, Skinner, Henrique, they've all been 30-goal guys at one point. So
yeah, they got a lot of guys who know how to score at some point in their career. Derek Ryan obviously hasn't done either, but he's not in the lineup tonight. So
let's get to our game day analyst. He is former NHLer and including former Boston Bruin Landon Ferraro, brought to you as always by Honda Canada. Need more power and efficiency in your lineup? Meet Honda's 2025 Civic, Accord, and CRV hybrids. Visit prairiehonda.ca. How you doing, Landon?
I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Doing good. You were in Boston for a while, not for a you weren't a lifelong Bruin or anything like that, but I heard Greg's talking to Terry Ryan on my drive in, and they were kind of talking about Boston culture. Were you there long enough to did you kind of start to, how different is it? Did you feel yourself start to become a Bostonian? Did you go to Dunkin' Donuts or Red Sox games, or what was I know your dad was and is a big Red Sox fan. What was it like playing in Boston?
I mean, it was awesome. I was lucky enough. I was going from one original six to the next, and so I never experienced a different market, smaller market. They went from one big to the next. But in Boston, man, those people, they care and they let you know how you're doing when you're walking around town. I was a nobody, and still I'd be getting told we weren't good enough the night before or something like that. And, they're not doing it in a bad way. They're just guys, you have to have a better effort than that. Just very matter of fact. But that's what makes it so fun and it's the same in Edmonton. People care. They want you to do good and everything like that. But, for me, it was an interesting time. Our team wasn't great that year. We missed the playoffs, but I got to see what, a Chara, Bergeron, all of those guys were while trying to reset a locker room and, bringing new guys in, everything like that. Just see them at work. It was a really good learning experience. That's for sure.
When you look at the Bruins now, and Zdeno Chara, a lot of his teammates have talked about, he really was the catalyst in kind of changing the culture of that team. And he signed as a free agent, one of the greatest free agent signings in the salary cap era, and then they won the cup 5 years later. And then him and Bergeron and David Krejci, you had three core guys and Marchand, but Marchand's the only one left now. And I know that Pastrnak has taken over and understands it all, but you lose great players and you lose guys who are really the core of that group. And you can pass it down, but some things are going to just kind of erode, right? Because guys lead in different ways, and these guys aren't Zdeno Chara. That guy was the ultimate leader, and just you see him, he's running marathons at his size. It's crazy, just his work ethic.
Yeah, but I think that's what they've done so well there. And I was just the other day listening to Taylor Hall talking about his time in Boston, and what they do there so well is yeah, you need to be bought into our team and everything, but it's also be yourself. You're here because it's you. You need to bring that into the dressing room, and we make it all work. But they understand, and I want to say Hall's quote was, they understand that me being myself makes me the best player. So why would we not want all of us to do that? And so, yeah, they're hard on you at times, but at the same time, they're in your corner. If you need anything, they're always going to be there for you. So it's a healthy relationship.
When you were there, Pastrnak was hard to believe that, he was only 19 and he had 15 goals in 51 games. He was not the Pasta we know now. And I know he's a first round pick later in the first round. There's a lot of teams that could have had him, and a lot of teams that passed on him. But even at 19, were you oh, holy crap, this guy's going to be unbelievable? Or did his eventual prowess, did that even surprise you a little bit?
No, because the one thing you're kind of forgetting in that is the only reason he played that number of games was because he had a bad high ankle sprain I want to say it was in training camp, because he was still just coming back when I got there in November. So that was 15 goals as a 19-year-old. And, I would say it probably took him a good month after he got back before he was really moving. You could see the skill. And it was just about, if you look at past his body now and when he was 19, he's put on a lot of muscle, a lot of strength as he's gotten older. So you could see it was all there, but it was just to what height he would actually get to was really the question.
He's Landon Ferraro joins us for Honda Canada here on the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show. Go ahead, Greggs.
Pastrnak, he's a guy who's, Landon, you played a lot of shooters. All of a sudden, he's got 5 goals in 5 games after only scoring 12 and 37. And so you're Boston, and it says, okay, let's get him the puck. But if you're the Oilers, how do you defend Pastrnak? Because he attacks different than other guys. Do you take away his center iceman? What's the best way to try to slow down Pastrnak?
Yeah, I think he's someone that you need to have in your peripheral at all times. You need to have a general idea where he is on the ice. But yeah, I think you attack his line mates. You make sure they have as little amount of time as possible, because for Pasta, it's one little pass and he's got that one timer or that quick. He gets the puck off with that quick release so fast. So trying to take away his line mates' time, force them into making plays quick. So hopefully it's a little bobbled or they can intercept them. That's how I think you have to attack it for sure.
What have you made? So I wasn't doing the game on Saturday. You joined the guys, and Oilers win another, decently tight one. They get off to a nice start, beat Seattle 4-2. So since the little debacle in California, they've been 3 straight wins, but they've all been, pretty low scoring, tight knit, pretty professional third periods to close these games out. What did you make of their game, Landon, on Saturday and this little stretch rebounding from LA and Anaheim?
I think it was pretty good. And, I would say that, Knobloch hit it on the head of, younger teams love a break because they can just jump right back into it. But the Oilers are the oldest team in the league. And, it's honestly, it's easier to just keep going. I remember at the end of my career, and I was only 31, 32, and getting a few days off, you're like, man, it's going to take a bit to get my legs back moving. It's just easier to keep going. So, I like how they've started to move through. They stayed, as much as they gave some goals back, they found a way to get through it and still grab their points. So, I think that's good. I think the other part to think of is like this is the time of year where like I feel like even the teams that are towards the bottom, like they've figured out their team play. Like it might have taken them longer to kind of get up to a certain level, but they've kind of maximized where they can be, and they hold that for what seems like a month, like kind of January or so, and then they kind of die off again. So I mean, like it doesn't surprise me that some of the lower teams have done well against them. Like they're playing hard, they're playing structured hockey. Like you can't expect the Oilers to pump 6 in every night.
No, they. Well, especially because I've seen a lot of people in the 10 days. Well, now it's 11. In the 11 days since they returned, Montreal has beaten 5 playoff teams, and Colorado and Vegas and Tampa and Florida and Vancouver. Detroit's beaten Carolina, New Jersey. New Jersey struggled. Tampa Bay struggled. Heck, Edmonton lost to Anaheim. Like these bottom teams, San Jose beat New Jersey and some others. It's kind of been an interesting 10 days that, they come back and they played well. And so while Edmonton didn't blow out Anaheim and Seattle on the weekend, to me, it's like they won. But their third periods, Landon, lately, like they gave up a 2-goal lead to LA, lost, gave up a 2-goal lead to Anaheim, lost, gave up a 2-goal lead to Anaheim, won it in the final minute, had a 3-0 lead that evaporated to 3-2 before an empty netter. Anything that you're seeing in the third period, or they're protecting the leads, because what I see actually is an inability to finish when they're up 2-0. They've had breakaways and stuff, and they haven't been able to push that lead to kind of bury the other team.
Yeah, and I think it's the classic, like you start to sit back a bit on the lead, especially because recently they have, not just recently, it's been a lot of the year where it's been this, but where they have leads slip away, whether they come out with the win or not, like you still have that bad feeling about how you kind of let the other team back into the game. So, I think it's a bit of that, but it's also like you just need to be able to get it through your head and it's, every player knows this, every fan knows this, but when you're up in the third, like you have to keep pushing. Like you have to make the other team still work through you. They can't just be flying around and you're trying to hold tight in your own zone, in tight, and keep everything to the outside. Like eventually they're going to break through. You can only hold off so long. So I think it's just still like trying to get back on your toes, get the puck into the offensive zone, try and create some stuff down there. But it's also just like take momentum away. You have to be able to feel when the other team's starting to make that push. And then those next 3-4 shifts are the most important. Like if you could snuff out that push right away within the next couple shifts of kind of just forcing it back down their way, it's going to go a long way in the third.
So this is a longer conversation, and Greg's and I could probably do a whole show on this, but I've officially reached the point. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, but I'm not worried about the Oilers. They're a very good team. We can have that debate if they can chase down Vegas. Maybe they don't. Maybe they finish second. If that's the case, they probably get LA. No one's sweating LA. Like we're in that mode right now where it's just kind of, I understand if you're getting a little apathetic as a fan, you're like, all right, like let's start the playoffs. Like this is a really good team. We know that. We know they're going to have playoff games. What do they look like? So the conversation starts to turn to, well, what do they need? What do they add? What makes this team really dangerous come playoff time? Landon, are you any closer to figuring it out? If we could add this one element somewhere in our lineup, what do you think that would be?
I mean, I would say it's another winger. Like Podkolzin has done a great job, but if you can find someone that can slip into that spot, just, another guy with size, but with a bit more speed and finish, then he can drop into your lower lines. And because I do really like Podkolzin, I think he's done a great job, and I know Draisaitl has enjoyed playing with him, but if you can add just that little bit more and then he can slide down, I just like that forward group would be so deep. It would be honestly like it would be a real piss off to have to go up against that.
Well, Greg's, and I know, I mean, obviously you're on the air 4 hours a day, you explore this stuff all the time, but personally, are you getting into that mode? Like I know some people they're always sweating the standings, and I'm just not anymore. Like, this team, they had a little little blip on the radar. Then they reeled off 3 straight wins again, right? So maybe it does all come down to if they can catch Vegas. But I'm starting to get into deadline mode.
Well, I do think home ice matters for Edmonton. I just look at, they haven't had a home playoff series in the second round since 1991. And, when you consider just the Stanley Cup final, they lost games 1, 2, and 7 at home in both 24 and in 2006. And I think that it would matter to get home ice advantage later on. So now, am I gonna blow my brains out to do it? No, I'm not gonna play McDavid 25 minutes a night or anything crazy. But I think for them, if they can stay close here in these next 2 weeks, because they have pretty tough schedule on the road and everything, and Vegas has a really easy schedule. If they're still within 6 points come January 20th, then I think they have a really good chance, because then their schedule gets a little easier. Vegas gets a little bit harder. But I still think Edmonton needs a second pair right defenseman or a third pair left defenseman. And, because Brett Kulak, I think you can play with Nurse if you have to, or you can have him as your number 5, and then you get a second pair right D. I think that's the one. But I agree with Landon. You can be great defensively for the long time, and Pod Colson, when he shoots, man, he can score. He's got a great shot, but he's only got 4 goals. And I don't think you can play with the league's top scorers and score 4 goals long term. I just think come playoff time, a 3-2 game, the difference is a guy who can finish. Right now, in theory, that probably should have been Jeff Skinner, but as we watch him, I just don't think he's a fit, because he's not a forechecker, and Draisaitl needs a forechecker. But I think it would be ideal to get a shooter like that. It's going to be hard to do, because I don't think you can rely on Kane to be that guy after being out for that long.
Yeah, that'd be a bonus. Actually, one of the names that I've been kind of kicking around for a little while, and it's interesting because Landon, you played with him in Boston too. He was a young guy that ended up having a really nice career, but that's Frank Vetrano. And then he just signed his extension in Anaheim, so he's probably not going to be dealt at the deadline. But I wonder if something like that.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Frankie's not the biggest of guys, but he works hard, he skates pretty well, and man, he can finish when he gets around the net. So, I mean, that works. But, the reason, Greg's, I totally agree that help on D would obviously be, pretty beneficial for sure. The reason I went forward is just thinking of playoff time, and just even when, we see it every game that they need some extra help, they throw Draisaitl, McDavid right back together, obviously. But if you can find that other guy, and now you can actually have 2 full lines that you don't have to jump away from so fast. Now you're actually going to make teams constantly have to worry about who's getting the top matchup. It's so much more to think about. So it's just and obviously I'm a forward, so it's more fun up there anyway. But I mean, you just look at it that way, and I could just imagine the other 6D sitting on the other bench looking, and man, we got to get through all of that today.
Yeah. No, I think it's totally valid. Right.
Text line says Holloway, by the way. So yeah, you knew that was coming.
Yeah. Fair. It's a valid point. If there's one mistake they made.
Yeah, no, it was already evident, Greg. So then I was sitting there, I was watching the Winter Classic, and I'm like, okay, it's been decided, and it took a half a season. They messed that one up.
Oh, and then just to jump in there, because you guys brought him up, but talking Evander Kane, I am very, very curious to see what he looks like when he comes back. I've had multiple hernia surgeries. My last one was a hernia surgery doubled with I tore my adductor off the bone, and so kind of in that same area and same stuff he's dealing with. It takes a very long time. Even once you've got that cleared, it takes a long time to get your feet moving and feeling really comfortable with striding out hard. And obviously with the way Kane plays, so hard, so aggressive, such a power forward. I'm really curious to see how he's going to be able to get back up to speed.
You really, when you played, I don't know what you did for endorsements, but you really should have signed an endorsement deal with Band-Aid brand adhesive strips.
Honestly, I would have taken anything.
I mean, for the Band-Aids alone, right? Man.
For the Band-Aids, honestly, you could have remade Bubble Boy. I mean, I would have done that as well. Anything.
Yeah. Well, what you're doing now is it's less physical. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot more for the mental, though, I'd say. Man, I'm reading more now than I ever have in my life.
He is Landon Ferraro for Honda Canada. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you in the postgame.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
All right, Honda Canada. Need more power and efficiency in your lineup? Meet Honda's 2025 Civic Accord and CR-V hybrids. Visit prairiehonda.ca. Andrew Walker and Jason Gregor. Actually, really quick, Greg's, the matchups brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. For all your automotive needs, go to your trusted experts in high-quality parts, tools, equipment, and more. That's Napa know-how. I heard you talking to the Bruins guest, McLaughlin. What do you make? Because I threw this out a while ago. I was watching. Actually, when Boston was here, because they played pretty good and they had been playing pretty good. And now looking at the standings, and I kind of commented to Donovan here. I said, watch this. Mark my words. Like, Boston's not going to be good all year. Swayman's still getting sharp, and they don't score, and they fired their head coach, but they're going to squeak in, and then they're going to beat the Leafs in 7 because that's just what happens. I don't know if that's true or not, but what do you make of this Bruins group, which they feel different? They don't feel like the Bruins of old, but it's hard to bet against them. Know what I mean? Yeah, I'll say this. Like, I was wrong I thought the Bruins last year, when they lost Bergeron and Krejci, that was when they were going to take the step back, and they didn't. And then, they went out and got Zadorov and Lindholm, and everybody's like, okay, now they're just going to kind of continue on. But I didn't like the Lindholm signing at all. Lindholm had that unreal year, the 1 year in Calgary, at the whole line scored 40 goals, but that was the massive outlier for him. And I thought he was the poster boy for the player who signs at 29 years of age, who was never an elite player, who is just good and then falls off a cliff. And you can go to Okposo and you can go to Lucic and James Neal and down the list of those guys. And that's what I think Lindholm's going to be. And that contract is not going to age very well. And they still have holes down the middle, right? They don't have a number one center, right? Like, Pavel Zacha is playing there, but he's not a number one. He's probably a low end number 2. So, that's what they have. And they don't scare you like they used to. I will say this, though. The Lindholm injury has crushed them. I think if Lindholm was still in, that would help them a lot. I think that's a huge, as good as McAvoy is, Lindholm is right there, right? Like, those two as a 1-2 punch in the NHL, you could put them up against almost any team's 1-2 punch and say, we like it. Yeah, the Lindholm move, so they make the big trade with Anaheim, and actually wasn't that big. They didn't give up that much, and then they sign him instantly to a big extension. I would say might be the least talked about dynamic move maybe in the last decade in the NHL. It's so good. Transform their blue line. On the text line, people asking, what's the over-under? We said it off the top. I will say it again. You have up until puck drop. The over-under for River Cree. Will there be, because these two teams, Oilers, Bruins, coming up at 5, they always play these tight games with these late game heroics. Will there be a goal in the last 5 minutes of regulation or an OT winner? So you don't got to worry about this bet until the 55-minute mark. So yes or no, over or under, will there be a goal in the last 5 minutes of regulation or in overtime? And you could win $100 at the River Cree Resort and Casino. We'll take one last break. We'll come up. We'll come back and we'll finish off a couple things that need to be finished off before we get you back to the Jason Gregor Show. Oilers and Bruins coming up in about 15 minutes from now. It is the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show on Sports 1440.
Pre-matchups are brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. For all your automotive needs, go to your trusted experts in high-quality parts, tools, equipment, and more. That's Napa know-how.
Stressed over holiday bills? Breathe easy, because with Cross Mitsubishi, you're secure and stress-free for up to 6 months. That's right, you'll make no payments for up to 6 months. Plus, Mitsubishi's 10-year, 160,000-kilometer limited warranty is the best in the industry. So when you're sitting behind the wheel, Cross Mitsubishi is standing behind you. Cross Mitsubishi. Drive your ambition. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Johnson, whoa. Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. If you're in the market for a new Daikin furnace or need an emergency replacement because your old furnace conked out, we're offering free duct cleaning with any new Daikin furnace. Enjoy peace of mind with Daikin, the best warranty in the industry from Edmonton's industry-leading furnace company. Weiss Johnson, a new Daikin furnace and clean ducts? Talk about a Christmas present your whole family can enjoy. Visit wjheats.com today.
What keeps Alberta business moving? It's pallets. Whether you're shipping, manufacturing, or looking for in-house storage solutions,
Hi, it's Andrew with the Pallet Recycler here in Edmonton, and we've been providing reliable, affordable, recycled, and custom pallets for local businesses for the past 30 years. Contact the Pallet Recycler at 825-474-1981 to find out why recycled pallets are the most cost-effective way to move and store your product. Learn about our recycling program as well at thepalletrecycler.ca.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Here, you can take your time, explore the latest Fords, and enjoy the no-pressure atmosphere. It's not just about cars. It's about family, comfort, and trust. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza when you use the code word 40Tuesday at the start of each pizza order at papajohns.ca.
It's the Cross Mitsubishi Pregame Show with Andrew Walker on Edmonton's only 24/7 sports station. This is Sports 1440.
Rolling through Jason Gregor, Andrew Walker. Pregame show continues on. Oilers in Boston. If you missed it, Derek Ryan and Troy Stetcher are out tonight. Josh Brown will play his fourth game of the season for the Oilers. He was recalled on the weekend. And Corey Perry draws back in. He'll play with Kapanen and Janmark. Jeff Skinner, Henrique, and Hyman will be the third line. The top two lines remain the same. Now, we don't know about Josh Brown. Is he going to play a lot with Nurse? Maybe. Troy Stetcher's value, Walks, is that he can play on the left side, no problem. I'm not sure Josh Brown can. So I'm kind of curious to see how Paul Coffey deploys his blue line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then obviously the other thing about Brown, if Trent Frederick starts to forecheck you or Brazeau or whatever, you can drop him if need be, right? So that's one element that Stetcher doesn't have.
Well, and I think, Josh Brown, I won't be surprised at all if he mixes it up tonight, because there's a guy who, you're trying to.
Yeah, you play every 3 weeks, drop him when you get in there. That's for sure.
And also because, hey, if Edmonton's not going to be a spot for him, he still wants to get noticed around the NHL, right? Some other team might say, hey, okay, when this guy goes on waivers again, whether it's next year or what have you, that might be an option. So everybody's always watching their scouts all the time. And so Josh Brown believes he can still play in the NHL. So you got to do, I expect him to be very physical tonight. And I expect him to be mean and heavily involved in scrums.
Well, and like we said, 6 of the next 7 on this road type of trip that they've had. They're in Pittsburgh on Thursday, Saturday in Chicago. They'll be back home, and then they're back on the road. So, this is a lot of miles, and you got to keep your team fresh. And it's it's same moving around the lineup, right? It's not necessarily always a reward, and it's not necessarily an indictment. They want to keep everybody fresh. You mentioned the Bruins. Let's hear from the head coach really quickly for Easy Chill Rentals. If you need, or they provide mobile walk-in coolers and freezers for sales and rentals. Don't sweat it. Just chill. EasyChillRentals.com. Here's Chris Knobloch today talking about playing this Bruins club.
Well, they've got some dangerous players that we have to be aware of. Shooters, puck carriers, playmakers. But they're also a big team. Some size up front, but especially the defense, make it hard to get to the net. And, I think they defend really well 5-on-5.
So there's Chris Knobloch for Easy Chill Rentals. We'll hear his whole breakdown in the post-game show as well. It is the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show. Brought to you by Cross Mitsubishi. Check them out online, crossmitsubishi.ca. The injury report brought to you by Titan Supply. As always, for the Oilers, it's just Evander Kane, and for the Bruins, I say just with an asterisk because it's a big one, no Hampus Lindholm. He's still out indefinitely. Titan Supply, your number one source for rigging supplies in Western Canada. Lift, dig, haul, titansupply.ca. We've talked about it for a long time. Greg's adding another defenseman to really round out this group, and it's the hardest thing to do in hockey probably, and you never quite know when these guys come available, and then you get them and they're better than you imagined, and you sign them and all that kind of stuff. Oilers already did it with Ekholm, right? The Bruins did it with Lindholm. It's not very often that you have a really good D-man, you let him go and you don't you don't regret it. The Oilers might even be there with Broberg already, but it's easier said than done sometimes. I really thought the St. Louis Blues beat, and who knows, maybe they move him and retain more salary at the deadline, depending on where they are. But I thought they beat everybody to the punch on Cam Fowler. He was kind of the guy I wanted here, but it's maybe the toughest thing to do as a GM is going to find that D-man that can play 23 minutes a night.
Yeah, I was surprised that the return was so minimal on Cam Fowler. Like, he's basically a $4 million defenseman now, right? Because the Ducks also retain salary, and they didn't get a lot for him. They get a second rounder. It's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So
I don't get it either. Like, my only thought was the Blues did, but the Blues have higher aspirations. They're playing well. My only thought was maybe the Blues want to flip them again, and that's they eat some salary, and that's when you're getting a first round pick and a prospect. But yeah, that says nothing like Anaheim. Anaheim didn't do well on it, but it was a curious trade, and they got ahead of it. And listen, I think we've learned that about the Blues. They're certainly aggressive. So
no, hey, give their GM credit. He didn't hesitate to make a move to say, hey, we want to do something. We feel and Vancouver's injuries have opened the door to the Blues, the Flames, and Utah now look and say, hey, that 8th spot is wide open. Like, I don't think they're going to catch Colorado, to be honest, right? The Colorado won again last night over Florida. So I think, honestly, the Vancouver Canucks, the injuries to Hughes and Roenick, and then the little bit of the saga and the Demko injury, that the Blues are now in it. Now, I don't know if they're good enough to get in or not. And the thing about the Blues is, like, they got so many defensemen. Like, what happens if Torrey Krug comes back? They're going to have to find a way to give away some guys in the offseason.
Yeah, and they probably know a little more about Torrey Krug than we do for sure. Perunovic is a young guy that I thought could stick in the NHL, and it's been tough for him, power play only, and a lot like a guy like Adam Boquist, who shows flashes and gets a chance in Florida, and is kind of in and out of the lineup. But you're right. Broberg is the truth. I think they know that, and the Fowler, the Fowler thing, to your point, it just surprised me.
Well, just the return, right? Yeah. And a little bit of the timing. I thought, hey, maybe the Ducks would want him to play 1,000 games in the organization, but it worked out for him. He got traded, and his 1,000th game ended up being in the Outdoor Winter Classic. He scores 2 goals. It's unbelievable, right? Like, you couldn't have scripted it any better. I don't know if they counted the days when they made that trade to know that, hey, if we trade you now and you stay healthy, that would be your 1,000th game. Because if it was, it's pretty damn cool to make it happen that way, because that's a pretty good memory.
You probably are like me. You have a lot of these moments where you realize, man, I'm old. I've been around. I covered the Memorial Cup in Brandon, Manitoba. That was Taylor Hall's Windsor team, including Cam Fowler was on that team, and now he's playing his 1,000th game. So
Young Bucks. Oh, yes.
Long time ago.
While back for sure.
Real quickly, look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Of course, Oilers are early today. Tuesday nights are great. Lots of games in the NHL. Jackets, Penguins, Stars, Rangers, Sens, Red Wings, Hurricanes, Lightning. Those are all at 5. At 5:30, you got the Leafs and the Flyers. At 6 p.m., Blues, Wild, Preds, Jets, and then the 2 late games tonight, Calgary, Anaheim, Vegas, San Jose. Out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by the Pallet Recycler. Should be a great night of hockey. We'll get back to the Jason Gregor Show for the final hour. Greg's, what are your you got another hour to go, but what are your final thoughts on the beginning of the road trip tonight, Oilers-Bruins?
Well, I look at it. Well, technically it started in Seattle, so I think the Oilers, I thought they could go 3-1 for sure on this road trip. And you know what? Tonight's a game, for whatever reason. Like, it's funny to me how you can be the best team in the world in the 80s. They couldn't win in Boston to save their life, except in the playoffs. But in the regular season, they couldn't for the longest time. And now suddenly,
rest in peace, Peter Klima.
Yeah, they can't lose in Boston. And I think that continues tonight. It also, anytime McDavid goes 2 games without a point, I expect him to have a big game. So I expect 97 to be very noticeable.
So you think my anytime point bet on Connor McDavid is a good one then? At minus 12.
Yeah.
1,200? No.
Yeah.
Actually, do you want to, I got my retirement bet tonight. You want to hear it?
Sure.
It's a big, don't, I'm not recommending this. Don't do it. Don't parlay. Never parlay, kids. It's stupid. But here's my retirement bet. I got a McAvoy assist, 2 Austin Matthews points, 2 Brian Rust points, a Wyatt Johnson assist, and Thomas Hertl playing his old team in San Jose over 2.5 shots. $20 pays $3,000. So there's my retirement bet.
Yeah, the Russ 2 points, very bold.
Well, go Boulder, go home. I'll buy you a beer if it comes through. How about that?
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Greggs. Have a good last hour of the show. Enjoy the game. We'll be back on in the post-game show immediately following this one. You've been listening to the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show on Sports 1440.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Game day, the Edmonton Oilers out in Boston, set to take on the Bruins. Puck drop shortly once this one wraps up. Andrew Walker, Donovan Paulson, and Landon Ferraro will be back with your post-game coverage. Elsewhere around the NHL, you got the Sens, Wings, Rangers, Stars, Blue Jackets, Penguins. The Leafs travel to Philly. Wild host the Blues, Preds in Winnipeg, and the Ducks up against the Calgary Flames in the association. Busy night. Hornets host the Suns, the Rockets in Washington. Mavs take on the Lakers. Timberwolves up against the Pelicans. The Nuggets hosting the Boston Celtics, and the Heat in the Bay to take the Golden State Warriors. A few minutes from puck drop in the PWHL is the New York Sirens hosting the Ottawa Charge. And just one game in the AJ this evening, Olds hosting Drayton Valley. That'll get going at 7 o'clock at the Sportsplex. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Dave McCarthy of SiriusXM NHL and Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
The pregame show is brought to you by Cross Mitsubishi. Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your ambition. 9605 34th Ave and crossmitsubishi.ca.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Are you an HVAC or refrigeration company stressed about meeting your customers' temporary refrigeration needs? No need to worry. The solution is easy. Think Easy Chill Rentals. For repair, maintenance, or even special events, Easy Chill Rentals guarantees you a no-hassle, short or long-term solution for your refrigeration needs. Easy Chill provides mobile walk-in coolers and freezers to customers all over Western Canada. For sales and rentals, don't sweat it, just chill. With Easy Chill Rentals, visit easychillrentals.com today.
All right, Metal Supermarket's mailbag time again. Maggie from Mill Woods writes, I wanted metal shelving for my greenhouse. The old wood stuff was rotting. Metal Supermarkets help make it happen. And Bob from Beaumont asks, does size matter? Whoa, let's keep this PG, okay? But seriously, Bob, the size of your order doesn't matter. Big or small, they're here to help with metal cut to your exact measurements fast. The convenience store is for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com. Cold, icy mornings, frozen windshield, snow in the forecast, and your vehicle won't start. You know what that means, Alberta. Winter is here. Don't get left out of the cold. Head to Napa Auto Parts today to gear up for the frosty months ahead. Winter won't wait, and neither should you. From premium batteries, starters, and alternators to high-quality wiper blades, antifreeze, and snow brushes, Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready and running. With over 85 locations in Alberta.
YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. As you want to get in the game, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province of Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. Oilers on the road, and they are favored in Boston tonight. Let's go. We're going to get to our big guest of the day. Brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to your next destination. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca. As Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us once again. Dave, how you doing, my man?
Hey, buddy. Happy New Year. What's going on?
Oh, buddy, lots happening. Lots is going on right now. The bottom feeders are crushing the top teams in the NHL. It's great. You got some guys rolling on lengthy point streaks in 14 games for Draisaitl, 13 games for Rantanen. You've got the Montreal Canadiens. Let's start there, Davey. The Montreal Canadiens have won 5 of 6. They've beaten 5 teams who were in a playoff spot in Vegas and Colorado and Tampa and Vancouver and Florida. And suddenly they're within striking distance. Are you a believer? And there's a whole second half of the season. Can they make the playoffs?
Well, I did not think I'd be saying that on November 30th when I checked the standings and they were a point out of last place in the National Hockey League. So it's quite surprising. I think what it shows you is that it's not exactly a horse race to the final playoff spot, but a collection of a lot of teams that are just okay. Now, credit to Montreal. They have beaten good teams along the way, as you point out. But as I always caution, okay, so they've won 8 of 10 now, I believe, and they're just in a playoff spot. Or if you're more of a points percentage person, you could argue they're not even in a playoff spot yet. I like points. I like what's in the bank rather than games in hand. You still got to win those. Anyway, point is, they basically have to go out and win 8 of 10 again. If they win 3 of their next 10, they'll drop back, and invariably one of the other teams that is in the mix there, like a Columbus or a Pittsburgh or a Detroit or a Philadelphia, will get hot. Islanders, Rangers, and then they'll move up the standings because there's only a 4-point difference really between everybody in the Eastern Conference right now from that second wild card spot to the second last place outside of Buffalo. I like what I've seen. I think Cole Caulfield has really taken a step. I think Nick Suzuki is playing really well. Patrick Liney's, when he's been available, has looked good. Lane Hudson is continuing to progress, so that's encouraging. Not getting any production, though, out of guys like Alex Newhook and Josh Anderson and Yuri Sapkovsky and Kirby Dach. So you can look at it and say, well, they haven't really delivered anything. But at some point, you have to figure they're going to get rolling, and yet they still find themselves in a playoff spot, having not really got much from any of those guys. So, do I see it sustaining? It's tough to say at this point, but I think it's a pretty good story that they've got themselves into the mix. I think the league's in a better place when Montreal is competitive coming down the stretch.
Yeah, the biggest difference I find is that all of a sudden they've learned how to limit goals against. Right?
Yeah.
If you look at their goals against in these wins, that's been the difference because they can score. They've got some offense, but they were 28th prior to Christmas in goals against, and here in the 6 now. So that's okay. Is this just a 6-game window, or did Santa Claus bring him some defensive acumen over the holidays?
Well, they're getting some good goaltending too. Hey, how about this Jacob Dalbish character who's
playing unreal?
Right? Shutout in his first game. He only allowed 1 goal the other night. And as my good buddy Simon Salikas pointed out when I had him on my show earlier today from Montreal, nobody scored on Dalbish with their hockey stick. The 1 goal he let in went off the foot of Mikko Rantanen. So, you get goaltending like that. Sam Monagle is playing well. You add some structure to your game. The other thing was, too, earlier in the year, they were really banged up. They don't have the depth to withstand that amount of injury to their team and remain competitive. They've gotten healthier now, and I think that's also really, really helped.
Yeah, Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. And so, while Montreal is moving up and Ottawa ends their 9-game road trip tonight in Detroit, and, they're either going to be 4-5 or 4-4-1 or 5-4 when it's all over. So, kept them in the race somewhat between Ottawa and Montreal. And then, I still can't count out the Rangers, Dave. They went 7-18 over a 25-game stretch, worst team in the NHL, but they're only 4 points out of the playoff spot. And seemingly here, 2 of their last 3 games, it looks good. So like Boston, I don't think Boston's safe. I don't think there's just the second wild card spot. I really think that Boston's a team that's going to be in a real battle here all year long to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's interesting. They were not very good, like Montreal at the beginning of the year, keeping a puck out of their net. Then when the coaching change happened with Joe Sacco, they improved on that to a fairly significant extent. But the last couple of games, I think they've given up 11 goals combined.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see. I think they got Edmonton tonight, right? I'd be shocked if Connor McDavid remains on the schneid for a third consecutive game. I can't say I'm panicked yet, though, about Boston, just because I'm not really all that excited about too many teams behind them. Like maybe Tampa Bay catches them, but do we see Tampa Bay and Ottawa catching them, or Tampa Bay and Montreal? I don't know. They can't score nearly as well as they would probably need to. And so when you get to a position where they're letting goals in the net and they can't score, that's when you're going to pile up some losses. But it's hard to count those guys out for some reason. Like they're one of those teams that until you prove to me that you can hang with them and catch them and put them behind you, I have a hard time betting against them just because nobody behind them really, really excites me. I don't think they're a cup contender by any stretch, but I don't look at anybody behind them as a cup contender either.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. And in the West, Dave, the Vancouver, now they did get Quinn Hughes back last night, but they blew a 3-1 lead to Montreal and lost. And Vancouver they've opened the door for Calgary, St. Louis, and Utah. Do you have any faith that one of them could ultimately beat out Vancouver, or the Canucks, now that Quinn Hughes is back, they're just going to start winning again?
I mean, they should, but don't count out St. Louis. I like what's happened to them since Jim Montgomery came on board. Now they've played a couple of more games from Vancouver, so that works against them right now, and they're 3 points out. But I think they're a better team than what they've shown in the first half of the year. I think you look at their home record; they've been terrible on home ice.
Oh yeah,
off 5, 8, 9, and 1. You got to be over 500 at home. So if that starts to correct itself, they've been good on the road. If they can play a little bit above 500 at home and just sort of stay where they have been on the road, there's enough talent there. I like their goaltending. I think their blue line is good enough. Again, that I could see them pushing. To me, I think it's Vancouver or St. Louis. I don't think Utah quite has the horses yet. And Calgary, I'm not quite there on yet either. Maybe, but I think it comes down to Vancouver or St. Louis. And at this point, I'd have to think that Vancouver pulls through. However, much like with the Rangers right now, what's going on off the ice just does not seem to be a good scenario right now. And sometimes it's difficult to win under adverse conditions.
Well, you mentioned teams bad at home. The Utah has the worst home record in the NHL, which is, if they could ever figure it out on home ice, they could get into it. But yeah, it's, it's a new fan base. They're loud there, but yeah, they're brutal at home. They got the worst record in the NHL on home ice.
Yeah, no wonder. Teams are good when they come into Utah. You can't get a beer there after 9 o'clock, so everybody's ripped and raring to go the next morning. No Vegas.
It's the opposite of Vegas,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I like Utah's team. I think they're coming along slowly. I like their young pieces. I'm seeing progression there, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to put enough together. The fact that they're over 500 right now, despite the fact that they played so poorly at home, is really impressive. But I think they might be a year away. I could see Bill Armstrong in the summertime making some more aggressive moves, and when you get continued development out of guys like Logan Cooley and Barrett Hayden's looked pretty good this year, and Clayton Keller's been good. Again, it's kind of one of those older young guys.
Right.
There's a lot of good pieces there. I just don't know if this is going to be the year quite yet.
Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. Dave, what was your takeaway from the World Juniors?
Oh, I thought it was a debacle. quite honestly. I think Hockey Canada has made, like, I am not a big proponent of making things more difficult than they need to be. Like, I cannot stand that about some people. And it seems to me like Hockey Canada has made it as complicated and as difficult as they possibly can. It seems to be way too corporatized, way too politicized. You know, just like they're getting in their own way on a number of occasions. I thought Dave Cameron did a terrible job, quite honestly. I got to tell it like I see it. I don't think he did a good job at all. How are you not practicing? To hear some of the response, oh, well, we got an exhausted team. What the hell are you talking about? These kids are 18, 19 years old, and the tournament is in Canada, not northern Finland. Like, what do you mean you're exhausted? That made no sense. Yeah. You know, and I was talking to some people that were telling me that just really an old school mentality on the part of the coach that does not connect with the younger players at this point in time. You can't rule with an iron fist. You cannot abdicate responsibility, as I heard in a lot of the responses from the head coach. You gotta make it a partnership. Like, I don't know if you saw the in-game interview that Rod Brindamore did with Hannah Yates the other night when they were losing 2-0, and she asked him, "What do you need to do to get rolling in this game?" And he was just like, "Well, we've got no chance right now. We have no chance the way we're playing. We're not in the game. We're soft, not getting to where we need to be. If we can't get this rolling, it's going to be a whole heap of trouble. We got no chance." You might say, wow, that's pretty harsh. But the reason he's able to do that is because if you watch another clip that I saw the Hurricanes throw out, Rod in the room after the game, they called up a young guy. He only played a handful of minutes. But just the way he makes everybody feel important, feel a part of the team, admits, hey, I wasn't able to get you out as often as I wanted tonight, but you know, he made the guy feel important. Then all the fellas start getting on board, cheering the young guy. That's why he can be critical when the time is right, because he's built that relationship. There was no relationship built between the coach and the Canadian junior players. And what happens when you got a coach who's abdicating responsibility for young guys nowadays? Pretty quickly, the response is, "To hell with you, bud." Like, you know, it just doesn't work. So I think they need to simplify. What I'd love to see them do, Jason, is to assemble a panel, a small one, not like 15 people, but like a management group of 2 or 3 recently retired NHL players that have had success at the World Junior level, that are well connected in the game and can talk to amateur scouts, put a scouting staff together and build a team that way, and hire a coach, one that is either a young up and coming coach in the Ontario Hockey League or the DOB or the Q, somebody that connects really well with the young guys, or a wildly well-respected veteran coach that's coached a long time in the NHL that is not currently coaching in the NHL, who guys have grown up idolizing. That's how you get people to listen to you. And the way they did it this year, I thought they got in their own way from start to finish.
I totally agree with you. I felt like Dave Cameron didn't come across like a coach who was even considering solutions. He was just, well, they know what penalties are. Pardon? Like, are you telling me that you as a coach can't get your players' attention to stop taking penalties? Like, we have, hey, I get that at that age, you know, testosterone, guys don't make the best decisions. Doesn't matter. I remember Brent Sutter had Steve Downey on his team, and he said Steve Downey and said, "Hey, I want you to play hard, but you were none of the extra BS." And guess what? Steve Downey listened, right? Yeah. He was unreal in that tournament. Physical, aggressive, didn't score a lot of points, but played a role unbelievable and sucked the other team into taking penalties. It was fantastic. You can do that as a coach. And I even said it before the tournament, I was like, why is Dave Cameron coaching this team? Like, he hasn't had any junior success.
No.
Why is he coaching the team? To me, that was you know what? We know him. He's a good guy, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, right? Like, that's not what it's about. You should be past that at this point. And that, to me, is the biggest one that they need to learn from, to say, okay, you know what? Like, we got time. let's hire the right coach for this team. Because I think a lot of the points you brought up are very fair and accurate. You need someone who's going to relate to that group. And I'm not an ageist, but there's just the reality of being 65 with a bunch of 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds. It's just different. It's hard.
Yeah,
and clearly
yeah.
he couldn't connect to them.
No, and when you've got a track record, sometimes that can help break it down. But when you don't and you start acting like an ass, guys are going to be like, what is this guy's routine here? Like I would have rather seen Bruce Boudreau coach the team. At least he's a guy that everybody is familiar with. He's got a really good attitude. He works to make people feel important. That is so critical nowadays. And if you don't coach that way, you lose guys in a hurry. The other thing was they were not physical at all. And I know the game has changed a little bit, but that example you referenced with Steve Downey, like how many guys can we think of from years gone by, like the Jordan Tutus, even the Dion Phaneuf, so he was probably a better player, but man, was he physical? There was no physicality at all. And when Canada would get in a tight spot, their advantage was that they could run weaker teams out of the building physically. There was none of that this year. And I found that to be really strange, considering that should be one of your assets that you can lean on when skill alone isn't getting it done.
Because what it can do, Dave, is it can a lot of times just bring momentum to the game. You need guys
especially
that I like to
on
call
home ice.
Yes, momentum builders, momentum changers, that all of a sudden, the energy in the building ratchets up a little bit just because there's some physicality. That's it. And then everybody else feeds off of it. And it's infectious in non-contact hockey, never mind in contact hockey.
Yeah, no, I'm totally in agreement with that. So they're going to have their work cut out for them next year. The USA doesn't look like they're getting any weaker, but they're going to have to find a way to streamline the process a lot better than they have the last couple of years. Because quite honestly, that's been an embarrassment. And there was never at one point this year watching the tournament did I even consider Canada to be a contender. And when was the last time you said that about Canada at the World Juniors?
Yeah, that's totally fair. Davey, great stuff, my man. We will chat with you next Tuesday. Thanks for shifting things around today. We appreciate it.
Anytime for you, buddy.
That's Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM, our big guest of the day. When we return, we'll go around the NHL. We'll talk some more Oilers and more on the Gregor Show with Connor Halley. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit FemaleSuperLeague.com.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy, call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy, call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
It's Customer Appreciation Day at Vitality Health Foods. Take 25% off select NACA products like NACA Platinum Nattokinase for heart health, NACA Nutri Probiotic for digestion, and the antioxidant NACA Platinum Quercetin. Customer Appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of each month. Visit vitalityhealthfoods.ca.
Just when the weather is freezing your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak and chicken paninis, topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle, grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start the new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen TVs, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a queen spring wall Euro top for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
We know you love your family and friends, especially your senior loved ones. Here's a simple, free way you can show it. Check In. Check In is a groundbreaking monitoring system that keeps our seniors safe, all with just a phone call. Catch up, share laughs, and confirm they're okay. So let's keep an eye on them. It costs nothing but means everything. Check In, because we're stronger together. Visit checkin.ca today and make every call count.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:27. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Declan Kruger running things on the digital side at Sports 14. At Oilers Nation, YouTube, and X. So thanks for that. Sports1440.ca for those streaming the show. We appreciate it very much. As we're going to go around the NHL now, brought to you by McDonald's and their new showdown menu. McDavid's and Matthews. They got some new burgers. They got the Big Mac David, which is 4 Canadian beef patties in the Big Mac, or my favorite, I think, is going to be the hat trick, the triple cheeseburger. Ooh, there's also the Selly Sundae, the smoky quarter pappy, the spicy junior chirpy, and the power play poutine. So check it out now, the showdown menu at McDonald's. As we welcome in from NHL.com, Derek Van Diest. We like to call him DVD. DVD, how you doing, man?
Hi, Jason. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing really well, man. Lots to discuss. What's your thoughts on when you watch the Oilers and, kind of they're moving all guys around, which I think is good. When do you think we see Noah Philp? Because I just think it's inevitable, considering, Derek Ryan is getting scratched for wingers to play center. It seems it's kind of inevitable here. When do you think we see him? Is it on that 6-game homestand after this extensive road trip?
I think that's probably a time when they bring him back and to see if he can play. I think he needs kind of some extended time. I think this is a guy that, showed well in training camp. Obviously, he needed to kind of get back into the game after missing over a year of hockey. So he's got a lot of skill. He's a very talented player. But I think, you bring him back, and you wouldn't mind seeing him for an extended period of time. Give him 15, 20 games to see if he can play at this NHL level. Derek Ryan right now is kind of fallen out of favor. He's kind of not getting into the lineup, and when he does get in the lineup, he doesn't play very much. So it's just it doesn't make much sense to have him in there. So I think, if when you come back from this road trip, regardless of how successful the road trip is or isn't, I think you want to give him a look, because you want to see if you have guys down in the AHL that you can bring up and play up front. And then especially heading towards the trade deadline, you want to see what guys you have, what you have available to you in terms of what's available in the American Hockey League. And I think Phelp is one guy, Savoy is another guy. But I think you got to start taking a look at these guys and saying, okay, do we have potential NHL players on our roster down there in the American Hockey League?
Yeah, and I like Noah Phillips really the only option is a fourth line center, right? Like Matt Savoy is coming on. He's a 20-year-old winger. And I know we get lots of people texting about Matt Savoy. Me personally, I don't see Matt. Now, Matt Savoy, you want to give him a game or two here at the end of the season? Great. I don't think he's an answer yet for the playoffs. He's 20 years of age, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what? Down the road, he's going to be somebody that they're going to need, especially he'll be on, entry-level deal. Everything's great there, but I don't see him. I see Noah Philp as the one guy who I think can help your team this year. So you give him some run, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But, he's the one guy, and I'm just kind of curious to see when he comes up. The other one, Josh Brown got recalled, and I think it's because, they got extensive road trip here, and now this is a big physical game, so it makes sense to play him. I don't think he's an internal answer for the team at all, but, they'll give him a look, and that's fine. I'm more so kind of interested to see, like, do you think Brett Kulak ultimately ends up being the second line right defense guy, or do you think we're going to see them acquire a righty to play the second pair?
I think they're going to look to acquire righty, and they're going to see what's out there. They're going to see if they have something out there, something's available that's, it can play in that second line. If not, I think Troy Setcher's not a bad option. I think he's the guy that I'm sorry, not Troy Setcher. Brett Kulak is a guy that's had a really good season so far, and he's played really well. So I think it's going to be a situation where I do think the Oilers need some help on defense. I do think they need to bring another guy. They need to bring another shutdown guy. I think I'm not, if I was Chris Knoblauch, I'd be concerned them giving up these leads. I know they're pulling out these games, but I'd be concerned that right now when they're getting 2 goals leads, they're not shutting things down and it's not over. They're getting the results, but I think that's my concern. But we'll see what happens. Interesting, Troy Setcher's out of the lineup today. I'm not sure what that situation is, whether he's healthy or whether he's nicked up or whatever. I'm sure they brought Pastrnak.
Yeah, it's just I was told it was simply situational. They want to get him being Josh Brown a game in, and they go up against a pretty big, heavy Boston team. So that's what it is.
Yeah, well, that makes sense then. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm just a little distracted. I see Stu Skinner got run over just lately here.
Yeah, he's fine. He got back,
and he had to leave the game.
Had to go in for,
but he got back up, but yeah. So hopefully it comes back. But I think they make a move here. I still think they got some tinkering to do, some moves to make, and they'll look and see what's available. And I think as teams start separating themselves, like some teams are still hanging around being playoff contenders. As they start dropping off and they decide, okay, we're going to be sellers at the deadline, I think that's when you're going to see a bit more movement, a bit more rattling of stuff, and the Oilers are going to go out there and everyone knows what Edmonton needs, so it's no secret. And I think when teams know what you need, they kind of hold you hostage a little bit. And I think that's been the situation with Edmonton here for a while now.
Yeah, I don't know if I think that Stan Bowman, they kind of outlined their whole plan here. They were going to wait. They're going to try to accrue as much cap space as they can to make a deal. And really, they've had no urgency to make a deal. I mean, the second best team in the NHL since November 1st, right? So I don't think they're in a real big hurry to have to make a move by any stretch of the imagination. I do think I'm kind of curious if we end up seeing like multiple moves here from this team. right? I don't think it's just going to be a defenseman. I definitely, if it's not Noah Philp, like I look at the roster tonight, and if I include Evander Kane, I think we will see at least Kane's one and at least 2 other new faces, if not 3, come playoff time.
Yeah, no, and if Evander Kane comes back and he gets a chance to play just before the playoffs, he's obviously a huge addition to this lineup. Like he brings that big skill and grit and what you need in the playoffs. And I think a healthy Evander Kane in the playoffs is a huge addition to the Edmonton Oilers. We saw what he could do 2 years ago when he was healthy. So that's a big addition. So yeah, I think a lot determines how much when he's able to come back, how effective he's going to be, and then kind of what else is out there. Because obviously the Oilers, they're going for it this year. They're all in. It's a situation where they're going to probably mortgage more of their future to try and win a Stanley Cup again this year.
As they should, I think, anyway, right? Like you're in their window for the next how many years that Edmonton, I think, is going to be, the look at Tavon to be a buyer every year at the trade deadline. And, for Oiler fans, it should be music to their ears because they were not remotely close to any of that for the longest time. And now they're going to be a team that's kind of going for it every year. And I think that's a good thing for certain. The Elks filled out their coaching staff. I know they haven't officially announced it, but I have it on really good a good report that all the contracts that I tweeted out are signed, sealed, and delivered. Maximic's the OC. JC Sherritt is going to be the defensive coordinator. Sorrells is coming back as the offensive line coach. You've got Demetrius Maxey, Jason Tucker, Aaron Grimes coming in, and then Des Cotillier comes in from Calgary, and then Tristan Dice comes in with Maximic from BC. What do you make of the coaching staff for the Green and Gold?
No, I like it. I like that they're bringing in some guys that have played here, some guys that had a lot of success here, some guys that know what the team means to the community and understand. They trying to get that team back to where they were before, and I like it when you bring guys in that kind of know what this team means and know what the fan base wants and have had success here before. I think that goes a long way. And then when you've been on the field, when you've done the things that some of these guys have done, I think that translates well to the players as well. When you're getting told, someone who's very successful in this league, hey, this is how you got to do it to be successful in this league. So I like the way things are shaping up. I like the way things are coming around. I think, it's all very positive, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the Elks season this year. I've been a season ticket holder for the last couple of years now, and I'm excited to go and watch some football this year.
Well, the good news, DVD, is I don't think it'll be worse than last year. I think we'll see improvements from the Green and Gold this year. We've seen lots off the ice, and it's likely going to off the field. And I'm curious. Mark Killam's going to bring in a whole new energy as the head coach, and OC. They've got Trey Ford locked up right away, and he's moving to Edmonton full time this month, in fact, and he's going to start working with Killam and working with Maximic and really understand the offense. So give him a better chance to be successful. So it should be great. As always, man, we appreciate you joining us. Enjoy the game.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
That's Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. We'll come back. We'll update you on what's been is a little nerve-wracking first period for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll tell you about it next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy Team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
It's your last chance to shop Boxing Day deals at the Brick. Start your new year off right and save up to 40% off mattresses, up to $960 off sectionals, up to $600 off big screen televisions, and up to $300 off select kitchen appliances when you buy 3 or more. Plus, pick up a Queen Springwall Eurotop for the price of a twin. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Attention drivers, it's the Midwinter Tire Clearance Sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
We believe that great projects start from the ground up. Well, to be accurate, great projects start from the underground up. We're GS Construction, and from pipes to drainage systems, we're always laying the groundwork for a better future for Edmonton. While the month of January may be slow for some, GS Construction is gearing up for a busy year ahead, preparing to build, repair, and replace tons of infrastructure to keep your systems running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
It's Customer Appreciation Day at Vitality Health Foods. Take 25% off select NACA products like NACA Platinum Nattokinase for heart health, NACA Nutri Probiotic for digestion, and the antioxidant NACA Platinum Quercetin. Customer Appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of each month. Visit vitalityhealthfoods.ca.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Portions of this hour brought to you by EUL. Get your power play amped up with EUL, supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. EUL.ca is your partner in power.
Look good, feel good, play good. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for listening to Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.543. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And the Oilers, for the 7th consecutive game, have scored first. They open up the scoring. Adam Henrique on a nice pass from Perry, but Henrique rips it, looking like a 8-time 20-goal scorer in that game so far tonight. And then the big play has Zadorov cutting to the net, coming down the right side, cuts across the crease, and smashes right into Stuart Skinner. Skinner's mask goes flying. Now, Cons, did they announce it that the concussion spotter took him out of the game?
We actually didn't have the volume on either, but that is what the consensus was.
Yeah, okay. Because it looked like, it was out there with TD Force for an extended period of time talking to him. And, then he put his stuff back on. He stayed in the game. And then it was like a delay. And then he went to the room. So I guess we'll find out when he comes out for the third period or not, if he was cleared or if he's not cleared to return. So we'll see about that. But, obviously Calvin Pickard has come in the game for the Oilers. They lead 1-0 after 20 minutes of play. And I thought a pretty solid first period from what I saw for the Oilers. They outshot the Bruins 14-4. This is one where, what did I say coming into this game, Con? Edmonton's, giving up the lead hasn't been due to sloppy play. It's really been due to the fact that they haven't been able to get that next goal. And, they had multiple good chances in that period and couldn't finish.
Yeah, big goal would have been to finish up with the second one there as well. You get 14 shots on net. You'd like to find a way to get one past Swayman. But yeah, I thought they'd done a pretty good job, obviously not giving the Bruins too many chances as well. Only 4 shots against so far. So yeah, a pretty good start. The Oilers actually could probably even have more. I saw a few kind of hope passes right in the slot, maybe take that shot and get a rebound. But hey, 1-0 in Boston. That's an okay start. They got to be feeling pretty good about it.
Well, they've started well lately, so that's not a surprise to me. They played pretty well. They're a better team than Boston. They should be able to beat the Boston Bruins, and their power play, their power play has been really good as of late. I just that would have been a perfect time, a power play goal after that Zadorov play to just kind of take the not that Boston has done much, but you really could have buried them a little bit deeper with that. So we'll see if they continue it. But hey, anytime you outshoot the home team 14-4 on the road, you're pretty happy about it. Of course, the only negative is they're only up 1-0. That would be the only concern or negative, I think, for the Oilers when they come out of that period, is that they weren't up more. Right, Hyman had 3 shots on goal to lead him in the first frame. Jeff Skinner had 2, and played fairly. Josh Brown had a great chance early on, man. What a story that would have been if he would have ripped that one home.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for him to get on the offensive sheet would have been fantastic. Would have been really good. For those wondering, I'm going to try to grab that video of Skinner getting hit just so he can, so Duncan can put it up on the stream watching on YouTube. But yeah, that would have been one heck of a start for you. Yeah,
the Nation Network. I think if you follow them, you can grab it from there. So it was a pretty big hit. Now. He's going to the net. It's, he looks right away like, hey, it shouldn't be a call, but that was pretty obvious. We'll see how it goes. Some other out of town scoreboards after 20 minutes of play. The Lightning, who are right behind Boston, but have 5 games in hand. 5. They are Brandon Hagel has his 18th of the season. They lead the Hurricanes 1-0. The Red Wings trying to stay in the playoff race. They have a power play goal. They lead the Senators 1-0 late in the first period. Dylan Larkin with his 17th. The Rangers and Dallas, 5-goal first period. Evgeny Dadonov has scored, as well as Matt Duchene. But that was after the Rangers went up 3-0 on goals by Lafreniere, Trocheck, and Alexis Lafreniere scored 2. Dmitry Voronkov has scored a power play goal. Don't count out the Blue Jackets, man. Honestly, Cons, if there's a team, I'm saying it right now, I'm jumping on the Columbus Blue Jackets train in the Eastern Conference. I'd love to see them be a playoff team. I think it'd be a great story. See them get in. Maple Leafs and Flyers have just dropped the puck. 5 minutes in, there's no score. Some Western Conference games have the St. Louis Blues in Minnesota, and Winnipeg Jets. And then, of course, the Flames are in Anaheim, and the late game has the Vegas Golden Knights, who the Oilers are trying to catch, or at least keep pace with until they get through this tough stretch. They would love nothing more than see the San Jose Sharks surprise them tonight. Hey, guys, why is it when Edmonton plays on the road and the game starts pretty close to the actual start time, and when they play at home, the game starts 15 to 20 minutes later? From JC. It's a good question, man. It's a really good question. A lot of it has to do at times with the, Saturday night, there's broadcasts, and then they're doing other stuff. And then there always seems to be a lot of times there's like a pregame ceremony going on in Edmonton, right? They always have different ones. So, but could the game start? Like tonight, the puck drop was bang as it said. It was like 5:07. It's not hard to do. I am with you, man. It would be if I could die a happy man, would be that NHL games started with some semblance of consistency and say, hey, if we're starting at 5:07, then everybody starts at 5:07. Now, if you have the odd game because you have a ceremony retirement or something like that, okay, I'm totally fine with it. But you don't need to delay games because you have your, the first star or whatever, and they get the player of the month thing. Just have everybody move up 3 minutes in their warm-up. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. So you could do it. I'd love to see it, but I don't. I'm not sure it's going to be happening anytime soon. It hasn't happened now. Cons, I don't see it happening. If anything, it seems to be getting worse, to be honest. Like, wait till the playoffs, and you know it. Like, they'll announce a game is at 7:30. It doesn't start till 7:52. For goodness, like, what are we doing? 52? Like, what? It's nuts. So yeah, I don't see that changing.
It's comedic because they tell you that it's going to be that time. Like, they nail it. They get it exactly when it's supposed to be from what they tell you, like the media. So they can do it. They're just choosing not to. Like, they can get it right to the puck drop. It says what, 7:08 usually?
Yeah, and you can get it right there. And then
7:08, it's done.
Like, I know when the game starts, and when I come on the show, it'd be like, hey, puck drop tonight is 7:12, 7:18, because I see it in the room. It's on the board in the morning. They know when it is. So you can do it, right? Hey guys, we're on the ice here. Warm up starts in 3 minutes. Okay, warm ups like the players don't care if warm up starts at 6:31 or 6:34. Honestly, doesn't make a difference for them. But they, I know that they do have teams actually get fined if things run late. That's why this year they did the Wall of Fame ceremonies after the game, because
sure,
if for whatever reason the speech something runs too long and that delays the start of the game, teams can actually get fined. So that's why they now. You could make an argument. Hey, get people in their seats. I would love to do it on an afternoon game where people don't have to rush to the game, or a Saturday night game. If you want to do it before the game, do it so people have time. To do it on a weeknight game and ask them to get there too early, it's hard. And then people staying afterwards, some of them aren't going to do it. But before the game, people would come, I think. If I asked you right now, would you rather have the ceremony before or after the game? I think the vast majority of people would say before. And if that means I got to get there one time a year earlier because I want to watch it, no problem. And I think people would do. And, have an incentive to be in your seat early. So there you have it. That's what I would do. We got the post-game show coming up afterwards, right after the final whistle with Walker and Donovan. And so we'll find out then. We'll find out beforehand. Stuart Skinner, was it just concussion spotter, or is he going to come back in the game? That's obviously going to be the story to watch for the second period. And because if he doesn't return, then you wonder, are they going to have to recall another goalie? There's all that. I would think, Stuart Skinner, how his body reaction and everything, I think it looks like he should be fine. That's what we're hoping. Also, congratulations to Chris Rooney, tonight's referee, his 1500 NHL game tonight. So he's the first U.S.-born referee to hit that milestone. So pretty good for Chris Rooney. On behalf of Connor Halley and Declan Kruger and all of our guests, I'm Jason Gregor. Let's get to Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by Fountain Tire. And the midwinter tire clearance is on right now. You can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings during this promotion. Contact your local Fountain Tire or go to fountaintire.com. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers in action out in Boston after 20 minutes, leading 1-0. Adam Henrique with his fourth goal of the season. Just about to get going in the second period. Elsewhere, Red Wings have a 1-0 lead over the Sens. Dylan Larkin with a lone marker. The Stars trail the Rangers 3-2, and the Jackets up on the Penguins 1-0 down in Tampa. The Lightning leading the Canes 1-0 midway through the first period. Leafs and Flyers scoreless later tonight. Wild host the Blues, the Preds in Winnipeg. Ducks taking on Calgary, and the Vegas Golden Knights head to San Jose. In the association, 3 games underway right now. Anthony Davis has 8 points for the Lakers as they lead the Mavericks 22-18. Wiz up on the Rockets 44-41, and the Suns trailing the Hornets 43-40 in the second quarter. Later tonight, Pelicans host the Timberwolves. Hawks in Utah. Nuggets take on the Celtics, and it's the Heat up against the Warriors. PWHL 1 game tonight after 20 minutes. The Ottawa Charge leading the New York Sirens 2-1. And 1 game this evening in the AJ. Olds hosting Drayton Valley. That gets going in just over an hour. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. Local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with Kevin Carius and Brandon Douglas. Plus, once the Oilers and Bruins wrap up, we got post-game coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Yes, it's